training resembled that of the elderly, so disciplined that it would be a challenge for most to maintain. Sighing, Xiang Zhua gazed at the blood-soaked yet fiercely determined figures of Xiang Long and Xiang Hu, and suddenly let out a light laugh. A complex emotion flickered in his eyes. It would be disingenuous to claim that I am not envious. Since childhood, I have trained alongside them, persistently beseeching the master of the martial arts hall to teach me the iron cloth technique, believing that the ability to catch a blade barehanded would be immensely impressive. However, the world has transformed. No matter how resilient one may be, even the toughest bones cannot withstand a bullet. Take the lunatic Zheng Jigang, for instance. Had his gun been loaded, what could even the formidable Long Ge and Hu Ge have accomplished? In ancient times, a chivalrous hero wielded merely a sword, traversing the world with grace, a freedom that was only afforded by cold weapons. Yet today, even the street thugs recognize that the most paramount assets in society are no longer martial prowess, but rather wealth and firearms. Turning to Wang Yu, I gazed with a hint of melancholy. What I wondered is the purpose of the Xiang family's painstaking efforts to cultivate these martial artists and maintain the Yi in society? It is merely to leave the Xiang family with a final trump card. Wang Yu nodded regretfully. The twilight of heroes is indeed a poignant reality. However exceptional one's martial arts may be, they pale in comparison to a handgun produced on an assembly line. Decades of honing my skills have been rendered obsolete in modern society, where engaging in conflict raises the peril of unintentionally causing fatal harm and facing imprisonment. It is undeniably tragic. Just as Wang Yu began to succumb to disappointment, Xiang Zhao leaned in mysteriously, whispering in his ear. The senior masters within the society had mentioned that the martial world is far from simple, and ancient martial arts are equally complex. The prowess of figures like Xiang Long and Xiang Hu may only scratch the surface of true ancient martial arts cultivation. There exist masters in this world, though their levels of proficiency remain a mystery to him, as he has yet to encounter them. In his youth, he found this enigma quite intriguing and had diligently inquired of the masters. Yet, each time, those who typically showed him great affection would merely smile and divert the conversation. Xiang Zha harbored serious suspicions that there was something being concealed from him, but ultimately, the matter lingered unresolved. Chapter 279. He takes responsibility to the end. The wounded bodyguards and Lung Feng were tended to by the arriving disciples of the Yi in society, who skillfully treated their injuries. Lung Feng had sustained severe wounds this time, with 3 gashes on his thigh and significant injuries to his chest and abdomen, even bearing signs of scorching. It was evident that he had been struck by an electric baton. Half reclining on the sofa, his complexion was as pale as a sheet, the gaping wounds on his body stark against the blood-soaked fabric. Lung Feng, how are you? I crouched beside him, my voice laced with concern. The initially resolute Lung Feng, who had been straining to remain conscious, felt his taut nerves suddenly relax upon hearing the inquiry. The excruciating pain radiating from his thigh surged forth like a tidal wave, mingling with the burning sensations in his chest and abdomen, causing his vision to dim. Boss, I'm fine. These wounds won't kill me. A cold sweat immediately beaded on his forehead, yet Lung Feng gritted his teeth and forced a pale smile, unwilling to cause Wang Yu any distress. However, the piercing agony coursing through him compelled a muffled groan to escape his lips. His hands gripped the sofa tightly, knuckles whitening under the strain, and veins bulged on his forehead. Watching Xiang Long and Xiang Hu dispatch adversaries with such ferocity, a shadow crept into Lung Feng's gaze. He recalled his own desperate struggle, nearly collapsing in the heat of battle. Had he possessed their level of skill, Wang Yu would not have found himself in such perilous circumstances. Are you truly all right? Wang Yu pressed down on his shoulder, feeling the warm blood beneath his hand. Do not force yourself, he urged. Lung Feng lowered his eyelashes, evading Wang Yu's concerned gaze, his throat tightening. It is my negligence. If I had been stronger, you would not have had to take such great risks. I am truly inferior to them. Enough of that. Do not dwell on it. Without you, I might not have survived this night. Focus on healing and take some time to rest at home. Wang Yu instructed, summoning a subordinate to assist in transporting Lung Feng to the hospital. Lung Feng's unwavering loyalty deeply moved Wang Yu. At such a critical moment, he had not faltered. A true man, his high salary is well-deserved. Wang Yu had always treated his bodyguards generously, striving to offer the highest salaries in the industry. In hindsight, it was indeed justified. He took out his phone, accessed his bank account, and transferred 5 million Huaxia coins to Lung Feng's account. Notification. The system has detected a spending of 5 million, granting a double cashback of 10 million. Notification. Congratulations, the host has earned 500 system points. This money was rightfully his, serving as Wang Yu's compensation. A mere 5 million would improve Lung Feng's family circumstances, providing them with peace of mind. That was sufficient. If Lung Feng's health were to deteriorate after a hospital checkup, Wang Yu would take full responsibility for him, regardless of the circumstances. He had ample funds and would not hesitate to reward loyalty. The chaos in the corridor gradually diminished, as a group of battered soldiers shielded Zheng Jigang. Fleeing like startled birds, Xiang Long wielded his twin blades with grace, as the glint of his knives painted the air with crimson. No one could obstruct him for even a moment. He moved through the crowd like a phantom, the azure dragon tattoo on his back seemingly coming to life with each swing of his weapon, each strike signifying the loss of another life. Attempt to flee? Xiang Long scoffed, his form a blur as he crossed his blades in a flash of cold light, severing the torso of an escaping thug. Blood gushed forth, splattering the walls and creating a grotesque tableau, the victim unable to utter a sound. His gaze, sharp as a hawk's, fixed upon the desperately retreating Zheng Jigang. With powerful strides, he surged forward like a released arrow. Meanwhile, Xiang Hu was caught in a fervor of combat. With the assistance of the disciples from the Yi Society, he unleashed the raw power of Baguazhang with unrestrained fervor. A thug wielding a steel pipe swung at him. But instead of retreating, Xiang Hu advanced, delivering a thunderous punch to the thug's chest. With a sickening crack, the man's ribcage caved in, sending him sprawling against the wall, collapsing to the ground, gasping for breath, on the verge of collapse. What a thrill! Xiang Hu roared, exhilaration gleaming in his eyes. He pivoted his body, launching himself at another thug, narrowly evading an attack. Seizing the blade with his reverse grip, he flexed his bicep, snapping the weapon in two, and then delivered a devastating punch to the thug's face, leaving it a bloody mess. At that moment, Xiang Long had broken through the encirclement of Zheng Jigang's subordinates and stood before him. He seized his opponent's collar with a fierce grip, resembling a fledgling chick, brandishing twin daggers against Zheng Jigang's throat. "Oh, is this not young Master Zheng? What do you think you're running off to?" Zheng Jigang's face turned ashen. His legs trembled incessantly, and his eyes were filled with dread and despair. A few drops of an unknown liquid even trickled from his shoe soles. "Don't do anything rash. I am Zheng Jigang. If you dare to harm me, the Zheng family will not let you off." Zheng Jigang shouted with a facade of bravado, attempting to intimidate Xiang Long. "Let you go." Xiang Long scoffed, erupting in laughter. Xiang Hu delivered a sweeping kick, sending one of the thugs flying, his chest heaving violently. Upon noticing Xiang Long had captured Zheng Jigang, a sinister grin spread across his bloodied face. "If you don't want your leader to die, then cease your actions. Anyone who dares to move again will meet the same fate as this iron rod." Xiang Hu's voice boomed, resonating like a hammer against the eardrums of those present. He forcefully struck the iron rod against the wall, sending a reverberation through the entire corridor. The rod shattered upon impact. The thugs, who had been fighting fiercely, suddenly froze, their hands trembling uncontrollably around their weapons. They had fought so desperately for wealth, yet with their leader now captured, for whom were they risking their lives? Clatter. Someone was the first to drop their weapon, and soon the sound of clattering arms spread like a domino effect throughout the space, the noise piercingly harsh in the corridor. "Please don't kill me." A bloodied young man suddenly knelt, his knees crashing against the tiles with a dull thud, pleading, "I have elderly at home and young ones to care for. It's all my ignorance. Spare me, please." Before long, the air was thick with pleas for mercy, filled with sobs and tears. Wiping the blood from his face, Xiang Hu, barefoot, stepped through the chaos, crushing shards of glass and congealed flesh beneath his feet with each stride. He approached the center of the crowd, casting a domineering gaze over the trembling masses, his imposing aura cultivated from Bajiquan pressing down upon them. "Everyone kneel. Hands on your heads. Behave yourselves, and I might spare your lives. Should anyone dare to play tricks, I will grind your bones to dust." He suddenly clenched his fists, the knuckles cracking audibly, a wicked smile etched on his face as he regarded them. The thugs exchanged glances and immediately knelt, hands clasped atop their heads. "Brother who is magnificent! Brother who is magnificent!" The disciples of the Yi and Society raised their weapons in cheer. Swiftly, they bound the captives. Upon tallying, 195 individuals remained alive, all bearing injuries. Numerous others were gravely wounded, unconscious, or had met their end, not counted in the tally. On the other hand, the Yi Society suffered only a few dozen minor injuries, with 8 severely wounded. This was largely attributed to Xiang Long and Xiang Hu's extraordinary combat prowess. Otherwise, the casualties would have been far graver. Meanwhile, on Xiang Zuo's side, 5 bodyguards had perished, with the rest mostly severely injured. Promptly transported alongside Lung Feng to the finest hospital in Hong Kong for treatment. Chapter 280. Spare the sarcasm. Such casualties were nothing short of extraordinary. Even though the Ian Society boasts an overwhelming numerical advantage over its adversaries, the ultimate outcome remains shrouded in uncertainty. It is essential to recognize that this is no child's play. It is a matter of life and death. Hundreds of individuals are ensnared within the confines of a building, with no avenue for retreat. Coupled with Zheng Jigang's orders to fight to the death, their combat prowess is not to be underestimated. In ancient warfare, the strategy often revolved around encircling the enemy while deliberately leaving a gap to provide a potential escape route. This tactic serves a clear purpose: to prevent the enemy from feeling cornered and resorting to desperate resistance. The advantage of such an approach lies in minimizing one's own casualties while maximizing the gains. This principle can be applied across various domains, including business. However, the Ian Society has chosen a different path, firmly surrounding the building and allowing no enemy to flee. This reflects an unwavering confidence in their ability to subdue these individuals at minimal cost, a confidence that has proven well-founded, resulting in minimal casualties. It is evident that they are a formidable organization, rich in experience and expertise. Xiang Long dragged the struggling Zheng Jigang before Xiang Zuo and Wang Yu, the latter being choked to the point of rolling his eyes, his legs swinging helplessly in the air. Let's incapacitate one of his arms, so he understands the gravity of the situation. Wang Yu scrutinized Zheng Jigang, shaking his head in disapproval. Xiang Long tossed Zheng Jigang onto the ground, furrowing his brow as he asked, "Who do you think you are to instruct me, Xiang Long, on how to act?" Xiang Long. Xiang Junling interjected sharply. "This is young Master Wang, a distinguished guest of our Xiang family. Whatever young Master Wang suggests, you shall heed. Consider it our directive and follow accordingly." Xiang Long's bloodied hand trembled upon hearing Xiang Junling's words, rendering him momentarily frozen in shock. He looked up at Xiang Junling, then at Xiang Zuo, and finally fixed his gaze on Wang Yu. This was the Wang Yu that the patriarch had mentioned before his arrival. So handsome? He couldn't help but feel a tinge of surprise. Xiang Zuo added, "Brother Long, young Master Wang is my ally and a valued guest of our family. Let us comply with his wishes." "Understood, young master." Xiang Long no longer hesitated and nodded. He was merely the sharpest blade of the Xiang family. But even the keenest blade must heed the commands of its wielder. "You cannot harm me. My father is Zheng Xiong. If you dare lay a finger on me, he will not spare you." Zheng Jigang coughed painfully while clutching his throat and quickly spoke up. Xiang Long glanced at the expressions of Xiang Zuo and the others, letting out a cold laugh. He waved the long knife before Zheng Jigang's eyes, the blood dripping from the blade onto the terrified face of his opponent. "The Zheng family? You shall find no refuge for your arrogance here today." Before Xiang Long could finish his sentence, a flash of cold light appeared as the long knife expertly pierced Zheng Jigang's right arm, severing the tendons with precision. His agonized screams reverberated throughout the room. "Don't let him lose consciousness so easily." Wang Yu observed the scene with keen interest, a smile finally gracing his face. He leaned closer to Zheng Jigang's contorted face, his voice soft as if soothing a child. "Your father may be quite formidable in Hong Kong. I have heard some whispers." However, Wang Yu's expression darkened, a smirk playing on his lips as he replied, "Mentioning such matters in my presence is of no consequence. You will regret this, I assure you. You will come to rue the day. I shall make it my mission to end your lives." Zheng Jigang writhed in agony, his forehead veins bulging as he fixed a murderous glare upon Wang Yu, wishing he could devour him whole. How many years had it been? In this land, the Zheng family had numerous enemies but also many allies. Who dared to confront him in such a manner? Even the most adversarial families would not dare to treat Zheng Jigang with such disdain. It was akin to delivering a resounding slap to the Zheng family. As the eldest son of the Zheng clan, he knew they would not let this transgression go unpunished. Even the illustrious Xiang family would face repercussions, let alone this unknown rustic before him, who would surely meet a more disastrous end. "Ha ha! All shall perish, especially you. I vow to ensure you find no resting place." Zheng Jigang glared intensely at Wang Yu, his eyes brimming with a bloodthirsty glint. "Let us see what other tricks you possess." Wang Yu rose, dusting off his clothes nonchalantly, his demeanor unperturbed. It is no exaggeration to declare that he possessed the confidence to back his words. The Wang family was a foundational stock family, having evolved over decades into a formidable entity beyond the imagination of the average individual. Even Wang Yu, the heir, had yet to fully grasp the depths of his family's power, let alone an outsider. How utterly laughable! Suddenly, footsteps echoed in the distance, drawing nearer. Xiang Yu ascended the staircase, followed by several subordinates from the Yin Society. He glanced at the blood-soaked ground and dismembered limbs, his expression unchanged and indifferent. Then, his attention fell upon the sprawled Zheng gang, and he exclaimed dramatically, "Oh, is this not the illustrious young Master Zheng? How has he come to resemble a lifeless dog?" Zheng Jigang shot him a venomous glare, feeling inexplicably vulnerable and refraining from uttering a word. Xiang Yu was notorious for his ruthless nature. While Xiang Jia and Wang Yu might spare his life, Xiang Yu was a different matter altogether, a madman who never contemplated the repercussions of his actions. It was not out of the realm of possibility for him to take a life without a second thought. "Brother, what has happened to you? How have you ended up in such a state?" Xiang Yu observed the bloodstains on Xiang Jia and his disheveled appearance, mocking him. "Aren't you usually so concerned with appearances? Why do you require my assistance? Ha ha ha. Spare me your sarcasm. Try being surrounded by hundreds and see how long you can last." Xiang Jia's eyes flickered with fatigue and trepidation. This time, they had narrowly escaped calamity, relying on the sacrifice of over a dozen bodyguards to endure until reinforcements arrived. Had even a single misstep occurred during that time, Xiang Yu would have arrived to find nothing but his corpse. As he was about to speak, however, Xiang Yu had already turned to Wang Yu, his previously nonchalant demeanor now replaced by a serious expression as he earnestly inquired, "Wang Yu, are you all right? If that scoundrel harmed you, I would not let him off easily." Wang Yu brushed off non-existent dust from his sleeves, casting a significant glance at Zheng Jigang, and suddenly chuckled lightly. "With the presence of the Xiang family, I am naturally unharmed. That is a relief." Xiang Yu sighed with relief. He abruptly pivoted and delivered a fierce kick. "Ah!" Zheng Jigang, caught off guard, received a solid blow to his abdomen. His body arched like a shrimp, a metallic taste surging in his throat as he expelled a mixture of blood and shattered teeth. "What are you pretending to be mute for?" Xiang Yu seized Zheng Jigang's hair, hoisting him off the ground, and landed a slap on his swollen cheek. "You once dared to look down upon me, and before I could settle the score, you find yourself in this predicament." Chapter 281. The sky will not collapse, you worthless wretch. Now you know fear? Xiang Yu suddenly leaned in, his nose almost touching Zheng Jigang's terrified eyes. "Dare to lay a hand on my elder brother, sister, or young Master Wang. Do you have a death wish, Zheng Jigang?" Zheng Jigang let out a pained scream. He attempted to retaliate, but the agony coursing through his body rendered him uncontrollably trembling. "Xiang Yu, don't go too far." Before he could finish his protest, an elbow struck his temple, and his vision exploded into a myriad of stars. "Going too far?" Xiang Yu sneered, his foot heavily pressing down on Zheng Jigang's recently incapacitated right arm, listening to the heart-wrenching cries of his opponent. A glint of excitement flickered in his eyes. "Today, I shall show you that offending the Xiang family is a luxury even in death." He abruptly released his grip, and Zheng Jigang collapsed, convulsing on the ground. Meanwhile, Xiang Yu maintained a nonchalant demeanor, as if he had merely crushed an insignificant ant. "They're coming out. Someone is emerging." It wasn't Zheng Jigang. Was the Yin Society so audacious as to not fear retribution from the Zheng family? Look behind them. The current generation of the Xiang family is all here. This is going to be quite the spectacle. This matter is far from simple. The Yin Society's provocation of the Zheng family's legitimate heir might very well lead to catastrophic consequences. It was rumored that the patriarch of the Zheng family had just shared tea with a certain powerful figure last month. Was this the Xiang family asserting their dominance? How thrilling. Indeed, who would have thought that in the 21st century, one could still witness such exhilarating scenes? Wang Yu and his companions emerged from the building. Xiang Long had his dual blades sheathed at his back, following closely behind, his eyes gleaming with vigilance as he scanned for potential threats. Xiang Hu dragged the limp form of Zheng Jigang, resembling a lifeless dog, as thousands marched forth with an imposing presence. They were also escorting bound captives. The once somewhat noisy scene became even more electrifying. Some individuals boldly gazed at these figures, whispering and pointing, yet they were compelled to lower their voices, fearful of attracting unnecessary trouble. The entire building of the horse racing club was firmly guarded by the disciples of the Yin Society. Most were young, in their 20s or 30s, with at least a few thousand present, creating a dark sea of bodies, their bare arms adorned with intricate tattoos, wielding fearsome blades. In a venue that originally accommodated tens of thousands, most of the crowd had dispersed in fear of potential trouble when Zheng Jigang's men surged forward. However, a handful of audacious individuals remained, several thousand strong, watching from a distance. Some attempted to capture the moment on their smartphones, only to have them forcibly confiscated by members of the Yan Hui. Undeterred by this, these spectators exuded an air of defiance, seemingly unperturbed by their own safety in this modern society. A few henchmen brandished knives in anger, yet without the command of their leader, they dared not act recklessly, merely casting furious glances at the onlookers. As Wang Yu stepped forward, he looked up to see over a dozen helicopters hovering hundreds of meters above the building. A man clad in combat gear leaned out, greeting Wang Yu with a nod, to which Wang Yu responded with a smile. The man then saluted him before the helicopters swiftly departed into the distance. "Brother, are these your reinforcements?" Xiang Jia observed this scene, his face a mask of astonishment. A single glance was enough for him to discern that these were military personnel, specifically from a special operations unit. Armed and equipped, they had come with a mission, undoubtedly. It was to support Wang Yu. In the presence of such a multitude, only Wang Yu possessed the credentials and influence to summon them. It was his first time being so far from home, and it was only natural for his family to worry. Wang Yu shook his head and smiled. Prior to the impending confrontation, he had received a message from Wang Zhengwo, which simply read, "Act according to your wishes." In that instant, he comprehended. His father had been aware of the situation as it unfolded, fully informed about Zheng Jigang's entourage of hundreds. Yet, rather than expressing concern for Wang Yu's safety, he had merely encouraged him to follow his heart. Wang Yu recalled his father's previous words. As long as righteousness was on his side, he would have support against any adversities. Moreover, the sky would not fall. The Zheng family posed no real threat. With newfound resolve, Wang Yu welcomed the prospect of Zheng Jigang's potential recklessness. The helicopters that had just departed overhead were undoubtedly summoned by Wang Zhengwo. Since his father had given him the freedom to act as he pleased, it implied a measure of confidence in the situation. The presence of so many helicopters suggested a significant number of personnel and equipment, which was self-evident. Even if unforeseen complications arose, any martial arts experts among Zheng Jigang's ranks would merely become live targets in the face of overwhelming firepower. Xiang Jia, filled with envy, gazed at the helicopter formation gradually vanishing into the clouds. "No wonder you fear nothing," he remarked with a wry smile, feeling a twinge of regret. "Had I known you called in helicopters, I would have suggested they fire a few rounds for the spectacle. Wang Yu, why not take me under your wing? It would be far more impressive to follow you than to remain in the Xiang family." At some point, Xiang Yu had sidled up to Wang Yu, his eyes reflecting both awe and a hint of envy. Xiang Junling gently elbowed her brother, her gaze fixed upon Wang Yu. As the sole daughter of Xiang Huaqiang, she had encountered numerous so-called heirs of prestigious families. Yet in this moment, observing Wang Yu's nonchalant demeanor, she suddenly realized that the so-called heritage of the Xiang family was merely child's play in the presence of such formidable figures. Taking a deep breath, she endeavored to calm the tumultuous emotions swirling within her. At that moment, Manager Li, drenched in sweat, pushed his way through the crowd, his suit collar askew and his tie having long since vanished. There was no time to concern himself with appearances. Behind him, a wall of security guards teetered precariously, while the onlookers surged forward like a rising tide, the flash of cameras and the cacophony of voices nearly toppling the building. "Young Master Xiang, and all esteemed young masters," Manager Li exclaimed, glancing at Zheng Jigang, who lay like a dead dog. Grabbing Xiang's sleeve, his voice trembled with urgency. "I implore you all to leave quickly. The head of the Zheng family is en route after learning the news. Please, do not engage in further conflict here." Perfect timing, Xiang's were retorted dismissively, turning to his younger brother. "What's the situation with father? Why hasn't he arrived yet?" "Father contacted someone immediately and sent me ahead," Xiang Yu shrugged, smiling. "I just didn't expect this fellow to be so fragile, passing out after just a few blows. Otherwise, I would have loved to witness the renowned Zheng family heir." Zheng Jigang, weeping and wailing in front of all these people. Chapter 282. Truly my husband Wang Yu felt a tinge of regret. He had initially intended to enjoy the moment, but the disturbance had disrupted his plans. "Young Master Wang, I must take my leave," Guo Fuqing announced, approaching with his wife. "My wife has been somewhat startled and may need time to recuperate." Fang Yuan, likely still in shock, buried her face in his embrace, afraid to look up. Guo Fuqing had witnessed the clash among these elite heirs and wished to be nowhere near it. He realized that while there were a few martial experts on Xiang Yu's side, it was evident that Wang Yu was the most formidable of all. From thousands of miles away, the Wang family had already extended its reach here, with helicopters and special forces dispatched to ensure Wang Yu's safety. He felt a cold sweat break out. Had there been an emergency concerning Wang Yu, these forces would likely have opened fire immediately. In such chaos, he truly questioned whether he could preserve his own life. Not wanting to linger a moment longer, he promptly requested to resign. Wang Yu understood their apprehensions and arranged for several individuals to escort them out. For ordinary people, simply refraining from crumbling under such circumstances was commendable. Guo Fuqing's pale complexion indicated that he had maintained a commendable psychological fortitude. "Brother Hu, please wake him up." Wang Yu smiled at Xiang Hu. "Understood, young Master Wang." Xiang Hu replied promptly, now aware that Wang Yu was a distinguished guest of the Xiang family. Nature did not dare to disregard his words. His robust hand, akin to an iron clamp, seized Zheng Jigang by the nape and forcefully lifted him. Zheng's head hung limply. With a sharp crack, two resounding slaps echoed in the hushed atmosphere, reverberating with clarity. Wang Yu seated himself firmly in the audience, while Xiang and the others also took their places. Zheng emitted a muffled groan from his throat, gradually opening his eyes, feigning a state of incompleteness in consciousness. Yet, upon meeting Wang Yu's enigmatic gaze, he was drenched in a cold sweat. Instinctively, he attempted to struggle, but the pain coursing through his body rendered him immobile. "Release me, and I shall consider this incident as having never occurred. The promised 2 billion Hong Kong dollars will be transferred to you immediately." Zheng's eyes brimmed with resentment, but he was compelled to bow to the circumstances. Xiang Yu truly was merciless. He had indeed struck with deadly intent. As Zheng gingerly touched his fractured legs, a flicker of fear crossed his gaze. Had he not pretended to faint, he could only imagine the torment that awaited him. Nearby, Manager Li understood that the situation could not end amicably. He could only stamp his foot and walk away to maintain order, lest he become embroiled in the chaos. This was merely a skirmish. The true brutality would ensue once the heads of the Xiang and Zheng families arrived. Blood might well flow like rivers today. Individuals of such stature were far beyond his capacity to provoke. Should he offend them, he would not even know how he met his demise. The illustrious identity of the official manager of the Racing Association afforded him no sense of security. It was well known that countless individuals were submerged in the ocean each year. He had no desire to become the second. Just as Zheng Jigang finished speaking, a piercing female voice rang out from the crowd's periphery. "It's Wang Yu." "Oh my God, it really is Wang Yu, darling. I love you. Mwah. Help. You just looked this way. Did you capture it on your phone? Quick, take a screenshot." It turned out that this grand spectacle was orchestrated by Wang Yu. Indeed. Look how respectful Xiang is towards him. No wonder he is my husband." Numerous young women from the mainland recognized Wang Yu, their excitement palpable as they surged towards him. However, the disciples of the Yi Association formed an unyielding barrier, staunchly blocking their advance. Upon hearing their cries, Wang Yu turned to them, revealing a gentle smile. They were indeed a charming group, hailing from his hometown. Naturally, he would not adopt a cold demeanor or appear unapproachable. He harbored no concern regarding their desire to take photographs. While capturing his image was harmless, he was indifferent to what else they might record. Allowing them a glimpse into his life provided them with material for their dreams. Watching Wang Yu, who was treated with such reverence by the Xiang siblings, Zheng Jigang finally grasped that Wang Yu might indeed hold the highest status among them. Guo Fuqing had previously remarked that Wang Yu was someone he could not provoke. Xiang had also referred to him as a distinguished guest of their family. At present, it appears that Wang Yu's identity is indeed rather complex. He may have provoked individuals he ought not to have. As this thought crossed his mind, beads of sweat began to form on Zheng Jigang's forehead, mingling with the blood on his face. Regardless of the circumstances, the Xiang family could not afford to take his life. Yet, the enigmatic man before him was utterly inscrutable. A sense of fear began to creep in. The smile at the corner of Wang Yu's lips had yet to fade when he abruptly turned to Zheng Jigang, the mirth in his gaze vanishing in an instant. Methodically adjusting his cuffs, he spoke with a calm demeanor. "Mr. Zheng, the 50 billion Hong Kong dollars we previously discussed is now due for settlement, is it not? You must be joking. Wasn't it 20 billion Hong Kong dollars? When did it escalate to 50 billion? Zheng Jigang retorted, his agitation palpable. He had encountered individuals demanding exorbitant sums before, but never had he met someone so brazen. The earlier figure of 20 billion was merely a boast. He had yet to inherit his family's fortune. and such a sum was beyond his reach. Even if he were to be killed, he could not produce such a vast amount of money. Xianghu observed Zheng struggling to rise and placed a firm hand upon him, rendering his efforts futile as he remained curled on the ground. Do you think this is your own home? Do you have any options? Xiangyu remarked with disdain. Fool, this sum is far too great. I cannot possibly gather it all at once. Please let me go. I assure you I will procure the money and return it to you immediately. Zhang Jigang pleaded, abandoning his pride in favor of appeasing Wang Yu. His release became paramount, for the decision of whether or not to provide the funds was no longer in his hands. Assurance? Wang Yu chuckled lightly, accepting a cigar from Xiangjia. He took a deep drag, exhaling fragrant smoke leisurely, nodding in satisfaction. It seemed to complement his formidable persona. He leaned forward, the ember of his cigar nearly touching Zheng's face. I now present you with two choices. First, make an immediate transfer, and perhaps you may be spared. Second, Wang Yu deliberately paused, letting the tension build. You may find yourself in a rather unfortunate predicament. What? Zheng Jigang stammered, his voice trembling at the implication. A smile crept across Wang Yu's face as he flicked the ash from his cigar, the sparks landing on Zheng's bleeding wound. The second option is rather amusing. I shall arrange a global live broadcast for you. For every gift sent by viewers, you shall receive a lash, until the total reaches 50 billion. Witnessing Zheng's eyes widen in shock, Wang Yu drew closer, enveloping them in a cloud of cigar smoke. Or would you prefer to experience an even more humiliating fate, allowing your fans to witness the illustrious Mr. Zheng soiling himself? Ha ha ha, you madman. Do as you wish, kill or torture me. Zheng Jigang felt a wave of despair wash over him, struggling to rise but held firmly by Xianghu. He found himself utterly immobilized. The thought of amassing 50 billion Hong Kong dollars was conceivable if he sought assistance from his family. Yet, how could his elders possibly fear Wang Yu? And how could they ever part with such a tremendous sum? The remaining options were simply unacceptable, regardless of whether it is a global live broadcast. The humiliation of receiving a beating for a multitude of gifts, or the embarrassing incident of him wetting his pants, the repercussions of such revelations would be dire. There would be no need for Wang Yu to take action. For the sake of family honor, he would be doomed to an unmarked grave. His family would undoubtedly abandon him. Even though his father, Zheng Xiong, is the current head of the Zheng clan, they would not be lacking an heir in his absence. Zheng Jigang suddenly looked up at Wang Yu, the last remnants of his confidence crumbling into dust. Please grant me 3 days. I will gather 50 billion immediately. I cannot access the funds in my account at the moment, but I can mortgage all my assets. His voice trembled with desperation as he struggled to grasp Wang Yu's pant leg, only to be kicked back to the ground by Xiangjia. A flicker of barely perceptible resentment flashed in Zheng Jigang's eyes. The suffering he endured today would not go unavenged. He would not allow them the opportunity. Both Xiangjia and this enigmatic Wang Yu would soon pay for this. 3 days? Xiangjia scoffed. Does young Master Zheng think this is a marketplace for haggling? Did he consider the consequences when he had hundreds of people blockading me? Xiangyu suddenly burst into exaggerated laughter, clutching his stomach. This truly amuses me. The pride of the Zheng family now resembles a wretched stray dog, begging for mercy. Look at you now. I'll give you 1 hour. Wang Yu smiled faintly. You must find a way to gather the funds. Should you fail, contemplate the repercussions. He was utterly indifferent to whether Zheng Jigang could amass the required amount. His presence here was merely to observe what strategies the Zheng family might employ next. Having already incurred the ire of this affluent family, it was imperative to obliterate their so-called prestige entirely. Otherwise, he would remain unsettled. Zheng Jigang, feeling helpless, could only buy time, awaiting his father's intervention. What could be accomplished in an hour? He had already struggled to gather the promised 20 billion Hong Kong dollars, let alone 50 billion. Even if he mobilized his family's assets, such a sum would not be easily attainable. Xiangjia leisurely took out his phone, a playful expression dancing on his face. He opened a live streaming app and taunted, "Young Master Zheng, the global audience eagerly awaits your splendid performance." He directed the camera toward Zheng Jigang's contorted face. If the world discovers that the heir of the Zheng family is groveling on the ground, begging for mercy, can you bear such disgrace? Don't start the live stream. His voice trembled, fury igniting his features, blood rising in his throat as if he might vomit. I will contact my people immediately and arrange the transfer. Panic seized him. The thought of the scene being broadcast was unbearable. The loss of the Zheng family's dignity would be a burden he could not endure. An hour is insufficient. Grant me 3 hours. I swear, I will procure every single cent of that 50 billion Hong Kong dollars. Did you all hear that? Young Master Zheng wants to negotiate with us. Should we agree? Xiang Yu leaned into the camera, raising his eyebrows exaggeratedly. He abruptly turned to Wang Yu. What if we organize a crowdfunding? Let the viewers vote on whether to extend the time? That could work. Wang Yu mused, playing with his cigar, nodding with a hint of a smile. Xiang Yu's spirit was instantly invigorated as his fingers danced rapidly across the screen of his mobile device, preparing to commence a live broadcast. Suddenly, Zheng Jigang erupted with fervor, summoning every ounce of strength to bellow. Xiang Zhao, should you dare to go live, my Zheng family will ensure that your Xiang family finds no foothold in the business world. No one shall have it easy. He turned to glare at Xiang Zhao, his eyes bloodshot with fury. You three siblings of the Xiang family, you have humiliated me today, and I shall make you repay this humiliation 100-fold in the future. His voice trembled, betraying a flicker of both fear and rage. Family, look, young Master Zheng is losing his composure. Xiang Yu laughed uncontrollably, addressing the camera. He deliberately leaned in, thrusting his phone towards Zheng Jigang's face. Do you still dare to threaten me? Clean the filth off your trousers first. Fine, give me an hour, and I shall gather the money. Zheng Jigang seethed with anger, yet he could only acquiesce helplessly. You seem to be unaware of the gravity of the situation. Wang Yu interjected, glancing at his watch with a smile. A minute ago you had an hour, and now you have merely half an hour left. Zheng Jigang trembled violently, his molars grinding ominously, as if on the brink of shattering. He glared at Wang Yu, the venomous resentment in his gaze nearly palpable. Yet, upon meeting the enigmatic smirk of his opponent, all his fierce words lodged in his throat. He dare not voice them. He feared that uttering anything might provoke this devilish man into actions he could not fathom. Very well. Half an hour it is. Zheng Jigang's molars were nearly ground to dust as he rasped. I will contact someone to gather the funds right now. His throat struggled to swallow, and he finally bowed his noble head in defeat, utterly drained of the will to resist. At that moment, he resembled a once mighty beast stripped of its fangs and claws, curled up helplessly on the ground, praying for his father's swift arrival. No other recourse remained. The once arrogant demeanor had vanished entirely. Xiang Long stood behind Wang Yu and the others, arms crossed, sighing at the scene before him. Having been with the Xiang family since childhood, he had never witnessed a scion of such a prestigious family reduced to such a state. It astounded him that the once haughty heir of the Zheng family, Zheng Jigang, had been driven to such depths. Young Master Wang's methods are indeed formidable, he murmured to Xiang Hu beside him, casting a glance at Wang Yu's nonchalant expression. I wonder which noble family he hails from. His tactics are truly remarkable. Xiang Hu shook his head, observing Zheng Jigang's curled form. A glimmer of pity in his eyes quickly replaced by awe. He recalled the fleet of helicopters that had come for Wang Yu and the composure he exhibited. Remarkable indeed. I used to think our Xiang family was quite formidable. He swallowed hard, reflecting, but now I realize there are always greater powers beyond our own. The two exchanged glances, each recognizing the shared sentiment in the other's eyes. They felt fortunate to stand with Wang Yu today, even more grateful not to have become his adversaries. Otherwise, despite their martial prowess, they could easily find themselves in the same wretched state as Zheng Jigang, a stray dog stripped of dignity. After all, no matter how skilled one is in martial arts, one must still fear the kitchen knife. Those who have mastered ancient martial arts can indeed achieve the extraordinary, bringing enemies to their knees. However, one must be able to approach. Otherwise, in the face of modern weaponry, it would merely be a matter of a single shot, unable to stir any significant commotion. Chapter 284. Know Your Place. Zheng Jigang retrieved his mobile phone, feigning urgency as he dialed a few numbers. With a sycophantic demeanor, he addressed Wang Yu, saying, I have already contacted individuals to raise the funds. Rest assured, I will gather this 50 billion Hong Kong dollars within half an hour. Very well. If you fail to procure the 50 billion in half an hour, you shall face the consequences. Wang Yu threatened Zheng Jigang before dismissing him, allowing him to delay further. He then turned his attention to the arena. At that moment, the crowd, under the guidance of Manager Li and the security team alongside the disciples of the Yi Association, began to disperse towards the exit of the racecourse. The numbers dwindled, and those who remained stubbornly were left with no choice but to abandon their idle, spectating, and depart. Suddenly, a girl clad in a pink dress attempted to break through the security's blockade, waving her hands persistently towards Wang Yu, exclaiming, Xiang Zhao, Sister Junling, please let me in. Did you hear that? Wang Yu, upon hearing her words, furrowed his brow. This woman was indeed quite attractive. Did she know Xiang Zhao and the others? His curiosity piqued. He activated his true eye to scrutinize her. In an instant, the girl's personal information materialized before him. Name, He Xiaoxin, age, 19, height, 172 centimeters, charisma, 94, physique, 80, affection, 69, skills, etiquette advanced, dance advanced, language advanced, music, intermediate. As Wang Yu perused the name, his furrowed brow gradually relaxed. He Xiaoxin, at the tender age of 19, could only be the girl in question. No wonder she seemed so familiar with them. Xiang Zhao glanced over, his brow slightly furrowed as he waved his hand, prompting Xiang Hu to turn and shout. Upon receiving their leader's command, the Ian Association members parted the crowd, allowing the girl to rush inside. She sprinted forward, soon standing before Wang Yu. Her cheeks flushed as she gazed at him, her eyes sparkling with admiration. Wang Yu's eyes brightened upon her arrival. Her tousled hair only enhanced her petite yet enchanting visage. The pink dress accentuated her slender waist, while her delicate nose and softly parted pale pink lips revealed dimples when she smiled, embodying both youthful innocence and the refined elegance unique to a lady of high society. The diamond studs adorning her earlobes glimmered under the lights, harmonizing beautifully with the pearl bracelet wrapped around her wrist, radiating an irresistible allure with every movement. Clutching the latest white Chanel handbag, she exuded an undeniable charm. Breathing slightly heavier, He Xiaoxin avoided casting a glance at the hapless Zhengji gang. Feeling a bit shy, she first turned to Xiang Junling with a sweet smile. Sister Junling, it's been a while. Then, she greeted Xiang Zhao and Xiang Yu with a nod. Why, my dear girl, have you come here all alone? Are you not aware of the dangers that lurk in this place today? Xiang Junling hastily approached, gently grasping her arm, her gaze tinged with reproach. As she scrutinized her from head to toe, relief washed over her upon confirming that the girl bore no injuries. It would be quite a predicament to explain any harm to her family if this little princess were to suffer even a scratch here. My father is fine for now. He Xiaoxin pouted, her voice sweet. I just wanted to come and see, especially after hearing news that something happened to you at the horse racing event. Her gaze shifted to Wang Yu, and her dimples deepened. Moreover, I encountered the legendary Wang Xiao. How fortunate I am. Hello, Wang Yu. I am He Xiaoxin. It is a pleasure to meet you. Hello, Wang Yu replied, a meaningful smile playing at the corners of his mouth as he lightly shook her hand. So you are the cherished little princess of the He family, the one spoken of in whispers. You are even more radiant than I had imagined. By the way, you know me? This young lady is naturally beautiful. Do I need your flattery? Her ears turned crimson, yet she raised her chin defiantly. However, her cheeks soon flushed a deeper shade of red. I may have come across your videos online. She stole a glance at Wang Yu, noticing his smile widen. Suddenly remembering something, she straightened her posture and fished her phone from her bag. But considering your discerning taste, I shall reluctantly share my contact information with you. Xiang Yu stifled a laugh, her shoulders shaking as she teased. Xiaoxin, is this the effect a handsome man has on you? Have you completely abandoned your modesty? Xiang Yu, do you dare to provoke me? He Xiaoxin's eyes widened in astonishment as she brandished her bag as if to strike. She then turned back, adopting a sweet tone while gently swaying her phone before Wang Yu. Wang Xiao wouldn't he refuse, would he? My circle of friends is filled with stunning beauties. Enough of this mischief. It's dangerous here. Let us sit and converse, Xiang Junling said, shaking her head in exasperation as she reached out to pull He Xiaoxin beside her. Before she could finish, He Xiaoxin suddenly tugged at Wang Yu's clothing, standing on tiptoe to whisper in his ear, I must say, you're far more handsome in reality than in the videos. After uttering this, her ears burned with embarrassment, and as she released her grip, she purposefully raised her chin, feigning indifference. Once we become friends, remember to like my posts. I am not someone who extends courtesies to just anyone. Do not be ungrateful, Wang Yu chuckled, casting a humorous glance at her as He Xiaoxin's face turned an even deeper shade of crimson. He shook his head, inwardly marveling at his own charm. It was irresistible. He then took out his phone and added her on Feishin, the name Strawberry Bear, prompting him to take a second look. An interesting name. Upon connecting, Wang Yu quickly discerned that this young lady had a pleasant disposition, exuding vivacity and cheer. Just after becoming friends, He Xiaoxin's phone chimed with a new message notification. She glanced at the screen with excitement, her lips curving into a smile as she raised her chin in triumph. That was quite a swift approval. I suppose you possess a modicum of sincerity. Beside her, Xiang Yu shook her head and made space next to Wang Yu. Observing this, He Xiaoxin took her seat. She discreetly stole a glance at Wang Yu, curiosity evident as she appraised him from head to toe, momentarily at a loss for words. Is this the husband chosen by my father? He is truly handsome, thought He Chao Exan, unable to suppress a wave of joy that nearly escaped her lips. Realizing her reaction, she quickly composed herself, concealing her smile. Initially, when her father intended to introduce Wang Yu to her, He Chao Xian understood the situation and felt a strong aversion to such a maneuver. However, as a scion of a prominent family, she had indulged in a lifestyle far beyond that of ordinary people, and naturally, she felt compelled to heed her family's wishes. Her displeasure melted away the moment her mother presented her with a photograph of Wang Yu. Moreover, she found videos of Wang Yu on Douyin, watching them repeatedly, analyzing every detail. He Chao Xin came to terms with the notion that marrying was inevitable for a girl as she matured. She could not escape it. Wang Yu was not an unsuitable choice. Once her father's health improved slightly, she secretly ventured to Hong Kong, eager to familiarize herself with Wang Yu. Upon meeting him, she found him even more captivating. He Chao Xin could hardly bear to meet Wang Yu's gaze, her heart racing like a timid rabbit, pounding fiercely. Chapter 285. Hundreds of thousands of disciples, Zheng Jigang, felt a pallor wash over him upon seeing the newcomer. How could he not recognize this girl? Every wealthy heir surely aspired to win her affection. She was the youngest and most cherished daughter of the gambling king. His father, Zheng Xiong, had previously sought to propose to the He family for the union of their families, envisioning a prosperous alliance. Yet, He Laoi had decisively rejected the proposition, and thus, he abandoned the idea. Now, however, He Chao Xin had come to Hong Kong alone. For what purpose, he wondered. But as soon as she arrived, she sought out Wang Yu's contact information and cast frequent glances in his direction, which felt decidedly amiss, igniting a simmering anger within Zheng Jigang. The girl he had pursued in vain was now enamored with a man he had just met. Was this fellow merely a shade more handsome and taller than he? He was not lacking in merit, either. Yet, Zheng Jigang stifled his indignation, aware that the current circumstances were not in his favor. It would be prudent to maintain a low profile. He would bide his time until his father arrived and observe how audacious these individuals could be. Nevertheless, an unsettling feeling surged within him, accompanied by a sense of unease. What kind of family was the He family? Anyone who had interacted with them understood that the entire Macau was essentially their domain. Their influence was formidable. The numerous casinos under their ownership generated astronomical wealth daily. He Laoi was notoriously strict in his upbringing of his daughter. As far as he knew, she had recently emerged from a life-threatening situation and was recuperating at home. Why was He Chao Xin here instead of attending to her father? Was it truly for Wang Yu? Zheng Jigang shook his head vehemently at the thought. What status did Wang Yu possess that could possibly make him worthy of He Chao Xin? Yet, seeing the sparkle in her beautiful eyes fixated on Wang Yu, it was evident that she had come searching for him. In a typical large family, the offspring often have predetermined arrangements regarding their partners. Could it be that old mister? He specifically summoned her? What, after all, is Wang Yu's true identity? A glimpse of a corner reveals the whole tapestry. A drop of water can reflect the vast ocean. Zheng Jigang is not a debauched youth. He does not squander his days amidst flowers, but rather works diligently. He believes himself to be quite successful in his career. Yet, he increasingly senses the complexity of the situation. The Xiong siblings' excessive reverence for Wang Yu is one thing, but now a young princess from the He family has appeared. Why is everyone so deferential towards him? The peculiarities of the situation all seem to center around this extraordinarily handsome man, Wang Yu. The surname Wang does not seem to be associated with any particularly formidable family. Zheng Jigang racked his brain, unable to unravel the mystery, his heart racing uncontrollably as he pondered. Time slipped by, second by second. Young Master Zheng, there are just 3 minutes left. Xiang's was smiled as he glanced at the clock. He leisurely shook his phone. If the money does not arrive, do not blame your brothers for being ungracious. Zheng Jigang's throat constricted painfully as he bit down hard. Hurry, just a little longer. After all, gathering 50 billion Hong Kong dollars all at once is quite a challenge. His expression darkened considerably. His mind raced as he sought ways to buy more time. Wang Yu lounged languidly in his chair. As the audience at the racecourse had been ushered outside by the efforts of Ian's society and security personnel, inside the venue now stood brawny men, brandishing an array of weapons, their tattoos a riot of colors, creating a striking spectacle. Any child witnessing such a scene would surely be frightened to tears. It seems the efficiency of the Zheng family pales in comparison to Miss He's speed in adding friends. Taking so long to gather a mere 50 billion Hong Kong dollars is quite astounding. Wang Yu casually glanced at He Chaoxin, who was covertly peeking at him while holding her phone, her ears tinged with red. He surveyed the imposing members of Ian society around him, squinting slightly. He then turned his gaze to Xiang Zhua, inquiring, Xiang Zhua, tell me honestly, how many members does Ian society have now? The development over the years has not been particularly prosperous. The core members across Hong Kong Island number only around 18,000. Xiang Zhua did not conceal the truth. Pausing briefly before continuing, if we include those peripheral brothers who may not seem significant but can be rallied in critical moments, the numbers can multiply several times. There are that many? Wang Yu was somewhat taken aback, having thought that the people present were the entirety of Ian society. The reality exceeded his expectations. Upon hearing this, Xiang Yu's face beamed with uncontainable pride as he eagerly responded, do not underestimate Ian society. Due to stringent regulations in recent years, we have indeed been more low-key domestically. However, it is a different story overseas. Over the years, our brothers have firmly established themselves in Southeast Asia, Europe, and North America, collaborating with groups such as the Green Gang, Hongmen, and the 18. Just consider our presence in Southeast Asia. In Thailand, the Philippines, and Malaysia, the operations of the Ian society unfold in a relentless succession: casinos, nightclubs, and bustling docks, all firmly under their control. The local gangs pose no significant challenge to them. In Europe, the Ian society collaborates with established powers from Italy and Russia, offering mutual support. They engage in arms trafficking and smuggling, with the Ian society facilitating the channels for sales. In the Americas, their disciples assist their Chinese compatriots in establishing a firm foothold in Chinatown, protecting them from bullying while also delving into the realms of dining, entertainment, and logistics. When tallied, the number of overseas disciples amounts to several 100,000. Wang Yu, contemplative, nodded slightly, his fingers rhythmically tapping against the armrest, producing a steady sound. A figure of several 100,000 disciples is not insignificant. It appears the Ian society has exerted considerable effort overseas in recent years. He squinted slightly, astonished. Is this the depth of an established power? Nurturing hundreds of thousands. With just a bit more equipment, some small nations might not stand chance. Should any trouble arise, the Xiang family could firmly establish itself anywhere across the globe. This is merely the Ian society. What the even more renowned organizations, such as the Qing Gang? How many individuals do they command? Wang Yu found it impossible to fathom their magnitude of power. Yet, he knew one thing. United, these gangs posed no threat to the Wang family. Suddenly, outside the racetrack, a tumultuous uproar erupted from the crowd, accompanied by the wailing of police sirens. The sharp, piercing sound reverberated within the vast venue, a cacophony of urgency that filled the air with tension. Hearing the commotion outside, Zheng Jigang finally breathed a sigh of relief. His father must be coming to rescue him. In an instant, the grand entrance of the racetrack was forcibly breached as hundreds of armed police surged in like a tidal wave. Their dark barrels swiftly aimed at the crowd inside. Everyone drop your weapons. Put your hands on your heads and crouch down, shouted the leading officer through a megaphone. Resisting law enforcement will bear consequences. The warning echoed throughout the expansive venue. Though surrounded by this sudden display of force, the disciples of the Ian society stood unfazed. They remained tense, gripping their weapons tightly, resembling poised leopards glaring defiantly at the police. Each member stood resolute, adopting a stance that signaled their readiness for battle. Quite impressive, aren't we? Spat a Ian society member, a sinister scar etched across his face, muttering under his breath. Coming in with guns pointed at us. Do you believe we want to fight back? His companions echoed his sentiment, yet their eyes were warily scanning the ranks of police, instinctively adjusting their positions to form a tighter defensive formation. The atmosphere turned frigid, as if the air were thick with the scent of gunpowder. The police maintained their aim steady on the Ian society members, fingers poised on triggers, prepared for any eventuality. Curse them! They dare not fire their weapons. With so many brothers by our side, I refuse to believe they would. Indeed, my brothers, fear not. Their meager numbers are a sign of their contempt for us. Kulme, let us fight. If they dare to strike me, the entire brotherhood of Kowloon Walled City shall seek vengeance. The members of the Ian society stood resolute, their necks held high, exuding an air of defiance, ready to engage at the slightest provocation. Laughter erupted from the crowd. Brothers, their firearms are precious. If they misfire, how many reports would they need to write? Suddenly, A scarred man in the corner revealed explosive devices wrapped around his body. And the atmosphere grew tense. My worthless life should have ended overseas. Surviving is a bonus. Today, should anyone dare to shoot, I shall take everyone here down with me. Come, let us see whose bullets fly faster, yours or my fuses. Ha ha ha. The members of the Yayan Society surged forward like a tide, backs pressed against one another, undeterred, singing ballads of the underworld in Cantonese. Tension hung in the air as both sides remained poised, unwilling to yield. The venue resembled a volcano on the brink of eruption, the oppressive atmosphere stifling, suggesting that even a spark could ignite a fierce conflict. Xiang Long and Xiang Hu stepped forward to stand before Xiang Zhao and Wang Yu, their vigilance heightened against the approaching figures. Inspector Chun's pupils constricted upon glimpsing the explosives. He lowered the loudspeaker and, noticing the pallor on a colleague's face, scoffed, stating, "Do they truly think that outdated firecrackers can intimidate us? Do they believe we still live in the 1980s? Inspector Chun slowly surveyed the tense officers around him, patting the shoulder of a trembling young officer. What has become of the courage we displayed during the anti-vice operations in Mongkok? Do you know why they dare brandish explosives? Because they fear death more than we do. Stay alert and uplifted. Remember, they are merely a rabble. Major Crimes Unit. Stand by." Inspector Chun drew his sidearm, pointing at the ceiling, sweat beading on his forehead. A conflict among these thousands would be no trivial matter. Lives were at stake. All safeties off, should they dare to charge. Fire without hesitation. Inspector Chun spoke rapidly, his gaze sweeping across the scene. Just as the standoff threatened to spiral out of control, two middle-aged men emerged from the rear. One wore a simple shirt, yet exuded an extraordinary presence. Unassuming, yet commanding. Beside him stood a man in a gray suit, unmistakably affluent. Following them was a man in police uniform. The insignia indicated he was likely the commissioner of police. Upon recognizing the newcomers, Inspector Chin discreetly stepped back, maintaining vigilance over the surroundings. "Dad, save me!" Zheng Jigang shouted upon seeing the newcomers. His heart raced upon recognizing the man in the simple attire, only to feel a wave of relief wash over him. Zheng Jigang appeared somewhat dazed. The Yayan Society has long been a target of official scrutiny, their actions typically cautious, leaving no trace. Yet tonight they gathered thousands, armed and ready to commit violence. The death toll has already surpassed 100. This is a grave provocation of the official's authority, occurring within the very confines of an official event. Naturally, it incensed the prominent figures who appeared in person. The moment Zheng Xiong entered, he beheld the wretched state of his son, Zheng Jigang. His expression shifted dramatically. Disregarding any potential danger, he hurried towards him. "Stay back, it's too dangerous." Inspector Chen exclaimed anxiously, attempting to restrain him, but was directly stopped by Director Huang. "Do not concern yourself with him. Your duty tonight is to ensure the safety of Director Fu," Huang stated nonchalantly. Reluctantly, Inspector Chen nodded. Despite his esteemed position as chief inspector, he found himself obliged to comply in the presence of these two. Upon seeing the arrivals, Wang Yu raised his hand in a gesture of acknowledgement. The disciples of the Yayan Society parted to form a passage, allowing him entry. Zheng Jigang's face was marred with bruises, his lips stained with blood, transforming his previously handsome visage into that of a swollen caricature. His arms and legs bore varying degrees of injury, and his once exquisite suit lay in tatters, erasing the semblance of the arrogant young master he had been. "Gangong!" Zheng Xiong's voice trembled, filled with anguish and rage. His hand quivered slightly as he examined his son's wounds. Each sight of injury sent a shiver through him. "Dad, you finally made it. Please take me to the hospital. It hurts so much." Zheng Jigang's eyes glistened with tears, almost spilling over. Having been accustomed to a life of luxury, he was unprepared for such suffering. Yet, surrounded by adversaries, he had already endured enough humiliation for one night and stifled his tears. "Calm down, Gangong. Let me handle the situation here first," Zheng Xiong said, rising slowly, turning to face the opposing crowd, his demeanor transforming into one of fierce authority. "How dare they treat you this way? They will pay dearly for their actions." "Dad," the person in the middle seems to hold significant influence. Xiang and the others are listening to him. Zheng Jigang, struggling, grasped his father's arm, urgently warning him. Chapter 287. The He family's young lady is off limits. Zheng Jigang noticed He Chaoxin had arrived for Wang Yu's sake. Upon further contemplation, he increasingly sensed that Wang Yu's identity was far from ordinary. There must be aspects he was unaware of. At this moment, thoughts of revenge were set aside. It was imperative to ascertain Wang Yu's background before proceeding. The Zheng family had persevered to reach this point, their efforts immeasurable. They could not afford to falter here. As long as he remained alive, life stretched ahead with ample opportunities for vengeance. However, if they provoked the wrong individuals, it could spell disaster for the Zheng family. Without venturing into global comparisons, the sheer number of families within Huagua that surpassed theirs was incalculable. Caution was paramount. Zheng Xiong furrowed his brow, observing Wang Yu. The latter exuded an extraordinary aura, unmistakably of noble descent. However, upon scrutinizing Wang Yu's appearance closely, Zheng Xiong shook his head. Yet, upon catching sight of He Chaoxing beside him, he felt a sudden jolt of surprise. He gazed at Zheng Jigang and inquired, "Who is this? Weren't you supposed to be the one causing trouble for Xiongzhua tonight? How did the little princess of the He family become involved?" "I have no idea, Dad. All I know is that he's called Wang Yu." He Chaoxing was perplexed, sensing that there seemed to be a good rapport between this young man and her. "This place is not suitable for us to linger. Please take me away." Zheng Jigang's expression grew somewhat anxious. Zheng Xiong cast another glance at He Chaoxing, his demeanor steadily becoming more serious. As for Wang Yu, he paid him little mind, recognizing that he was merely a handsome face. It was only natural for the He family's little princess to take a liking to him. Zheng Xiong's expression became increasingly grave. He turned his gaze to He Chaoxing, a glimmer of coldness flashing in his eyes. How did the treasured gem of the He family end up in such a place? If word gets out, it will be quite embarrassing. "Uncle Zheng, aren't you meddling a bit too much? My affairs are none of your concern." He Chaoxing retorted with a dismissive roll of her eyes. Zheng Xiong scoffed, his gaze icy. "Chaoxing, it's not that Uncle Zheng is being nosy, but mingling with such dubious individuals. Where would that leave the He family's reputation?" He cast a disdainful look at Wang Yu and Xiongzhua. "Uncle, if you have the time to concern yourself with my matters, perhaps you should focus on Zheng Jigang instead. He resembles a beaten dog, truly disgraceful." He Chaoxing crossed her arms, raising her chin slightly, her eyes brimming with disdain. "You." Zheng Xiong's countenance darkened instantly. "You little brat, don't push your luck. Allow me to teach you a lesson on behalf of your family." His veins bulged as he suddenly seized He Chaoxing's wrist, preparing to slap her. In that critical moment, Xiang Long moved like a specter, his long fingers deftly grasping Zheng Xiong's wrist. With a firm grip, Zheng Xiong felt a piercing pain shoot through his arm, forcing him to relinquish He Chaoxing. Stumbling back a step, He Chaoxing was steadied by Xiang Junling, her eyes blazing with fury as she examined her reddened wrist. "I'll call you uncle out of respect for your age, but do you dare to lay a hand on me? Do you truly think the He family is a soft target?" Once steadied, He Chaoxing glared at Zheng Xiong, who was rendered immobile by Wang Yu. Her teeth clenched in indignation. She forcefully shook off Xiang Junling's hand, striding towards Zheng Xiong in her 10-centimeter heels, exuding an air of defiance. Zheng Xiong. Her youthful visage was alight with rage. Before he could even respond, she raised her hand and struck him across the face with a resounding slap. The sharp sound echoed in the silent space, causing Zheng Xiong's face to turn sharply, a distinct imprint emerging visibly on his cheek. "What do you think you are? Daring to touch me?" He Chaoxing's chest heaved with intense emotion as she readied to strike him again, only to be restrained by Xiang Junling. "Were you pretending to be in front of me when you came begging my father for collaboration with the Zheng family back then? I didn't see you acting so imposing." He Chaoxing continued to berate him, pointing an accusatory finger at his face. Xiang Long tightened his grip on Zheng Xiong's wrist, unable to suppress a twitch at the corner of his mouth as he listened to He Chaoxing's furious tirade. The audacity of this affluent young lady took him by surprise. Wang Yu turned his gaze towards the girl's pouting profile, her reddened eyes brimming with indignation, resembling a small leopard with its tail stepped on. He shook his head slightly, amused by her spirited demeanor. Yet, he found himself admiring her forthrightness. He Chaoxing was about to unleash another tirade when she suddenly caught sight of Wang Yu's gaze, pouted her lips, and shot him a glare. She absent-mindedly brushed her hair, tempering her expression. It was best not to leave Wang Yu with a negative impression. Zheng Xiong covered his face, stung by the slap from He Chaoxing, his Adam's apple bobbing. However, at the sight of Wang Yu and Xiang Zhao glaring watchfully behind her, the harsh words that had risen to his lips were swallowed back. Moreover, the influence of the He family was indeed formidable, far surpassing that of the Zheng family. He had no desire to offend the He family over trivial matters. He then fixed his gaze on Xiang Zhao, gritting his teeth and declaring, "Very well. I cannot touch the He family's daughter. But can I not deal with you reckless fools?" Xiang Zhao. You must be emboldened by some wild courage. He abruptly pointed at Zheng Jigang, bloodied and battered behind them. My son has been beaten to this state, and the fact that he still breathes is a miracle. Over 100 lives are at stake, and the rest lie in the hospital. How can you be so ruthless? Our company's employees were merely enjoying a team-building event here and did not provoke you. Yet you resorted to such brutality. Are you performing a tragic play? Xiang Zhao languidly dug at his ear. Your son came with a band of thugs to ambush me, intending to take my life, and I am somehow the victim? As for your claim of over 100 lives, Xiang Zhao straightened up leisurely and spoke. Where's your evidence? You think you can simply pin the blame on us, at Ian Association, without substantiation? Open your eyes and see who the real culprits are. We at Ian Association acted purely in self-defense. Any deaths cannot be attributed to us. Zheng Xiong trembled with rage, jabbing a finger at Xiang Zhao. You are openly defying the law. I may owe an apology to the parents and wives of the victims, but I will ensure that you pay for your blood debts. Avenging them, especially you 3 siblings, as the masterminds. You are nothing short of devils. So many lives lost at your hands. And do you not feel a shred of guilt? And you, Wang Yu, as an accomplice, shall join them in prison. A glint of satisfaction flickered in Zheng Xiong's eyes. The Zheng and Xiong families had been at odds for a long time, and now he had finally found a lever against them. Over 100 lives, hundreds more injured. He had even managed to summon the director, with solid evidence at hand. Even if the Xiong family scoundrels did not face execution, they would undoubtedly spend the rest of their lives behind bars. Furthermore, the thousands of elite members from Ian Association present here would fragment into disarray once incarcerated. This was a splendid opportunity to usurp Ian Association. Chapter 288. You are quite astute after the injuries sustained by his son Zheng Jigang. He showed little concern. He wished that the injuries were more severe, for then any retaliation would be met with a quieter opposition. After all, he reasoned that his condition was not dire. A period of recuperation at home would suffice. Moreover, as long as life persisted, the lineage could continue. Zheng Xiong felt no concern whatsoever. Xiangjia, look at the current situation. A mob inciting chaos, assaulting the police, resisting arrest. Each transgression weighs heavily upon your conscience. Zheng Xiong surveyed the tattooed members of the Yayan Society surrounding him and caught sight of ominous gun barrels outside the racecourse. Feigning righteousness as he spoke, he pointed at his son, Zheng Jigang, curled on the ground. You have beaten my son to this state, and there are hundreds of brothers awaiting retribution. Retribution? Xiang Zhao replied with a chuckle. Your aspirations are commendable. Have you considered consulting your brother's opinions? Should they agree, we would all willingly turn ourselves in. To hell with that. A burly man, his face lined with muscle and adorned with a fierce demon tattoo on his chest, bellowed, swinging a thick iron chain against the armrest of his seat, the metallic clang reverberating through the stands. Who dares to harm Xiang Xiao? I will twist their head off and use it as a chamber pot. Zheng Xiong, open your eyes and behold. Suddenly, a bloodied machete was hurled from the crowd, embedding itself at Zheng Xiong's feet, causing him to tremble in fright. Cold sweat broke out as he gazed at the enraged members of the Yayan Society, his complexion paling. Where was your adherence to the law when your son led a charge against us? Brothers, stand together. Let us strike them down and feed them to the fishes. The crowd erupted in a cacophony of curses. Thousands of Yayan Society members raised their sinewy arms high, steel pipes and machetes glinting ominously under the lights. Yayan Society. Life and death together. Life and death together. Life and death together. It was unclear who initiated the chant, but it swiftly engulfed the entire venue. The thousands stomped in unison, causing the stands to tremble, startling the racehorses into frenzied whinnies. The crowd's fervor left Zheng Xiong and his son quaking in fear. Wang Yu observed the Yayan Society members with a tinge of envy. Brotherhood united is a rare treasure, with such loyal allies. The Xiong family need not worry about their prospects. As long as they do not commit any fundamental errors in Huagua, they could maneuver freely. Suddenly, the police ranks at the entrance stirred. Not good. They're about to riot. A young officer's hand trembled violently around his firearm, his temples throbbing. The frontline riot shields began to tilt. The sound of clashing metal mingled with the heavy breaths of the officers, the air thick with the scent of gunpowder. Prepare to fire to save lives. Inspector Chen roared. With that command, the officers behind the cordon swiftly disengaged their safety mechanisms, the dark mouths of their firearms glimmering ominously under the spotlight. Everyone cease immediately. Director Fu waved his hand, speaking with an air of calm. He stepped beyond the police line, striding toward Wang Yu. Director Zhang's expression shifted dramatically as he lunged forward, grasping Fu's arm, urging Director. With the Yian society being so numerous, you cannot enter. It would be akin to a lamb walking into a tiger's den. There's no need for concern, Director Fu remarked, his gaze piercing as it fixed upon Xiang Zhua and the others. I shall observe whether these ruffians dare to lay a finger on me. His eyes brimmed with disdain, showing no regard for these petty thugs, and he held the so-called prominent Xiang family in utter contempt. They were but remnants of a bygone era, incapable of keeping pace with societal advancement. Their decline was merely a matter of time. Perhaps tonight would serve as the final straw that breaks the camel's back. Ordinarily, such matters could be overlooked, but now they dared to cause a ruckus at the official horse racing event, resulting in the deaths of hundreds. It was impossible for him to remain merciful. The illustrious Xiang family, having basked in glory for over a century, was due for a curtain call. At that moment, Inspector Chen stepped in front of Director Fu. Director Fu, the Yian Society is currently incited with fervor. You are gambling with your life. He cautioned. I strongly advise against your involvement. As a commander, even if it leads to my demise, I must quell this farce. Director Fu retorted, adjusting his slightly askew police badge, his demeanor resolute. In this volatile situation, should a conflict arise, the casualties would be grave. I refuse to believe they would dare to confront me. I shall enter and speak with them. You remain vigilant. Inspector Chen, gazing into the unwavering determination in Director Fu's eyes, felt his throat constrict. His eyes brimmed with tears. He raised his hand, forcefully wiping his face, then stood tall and saluted. Rest assured, Director, I will personally lead the team here. Should there be any sign of trouble, our snipers will ensure those ruffians are dealt with. As he spoke, he grasped Director Fu's arm tightly, his rough palm clammy with sweat. Please be cautious. Those lunatics from the Yian Society are capable of anything. If the situation turns dire, lie low, and I will certainly bring you to safety. Director Fu observed the flush of excitement on Inspector Chen's face and nodded. Very well. With you here, I feel reassured. He patted Inspector Chen's shoulder heavily, his voice imbued with rare warmth. The surrounding officers were moved to tears, gazing at Director Fu with admiration. Director Huang, however, glared at Director Fu's retreating figure, his face ashen and veins bulging at his temples. What time is it? Given the circumstances, Director Fu's actions are akin to jumping into a pit of fire. Yet if anything were to befall him, my position as director would come to an end as well. Turning sharply, Director Huang fixed his gaze on Inspector Chen. Listen, if the situation inside deteriorates, regardless of who is involved, immediately take decisive action. Ensure the director's safety at all costs. With that, he dashed towards Director Fu. Understood. The mission will be accomplished. Inspector Chen shouted in response. He then turned to the officers behind the barricade, bellowing, everyone, stay alert. At the slightest hint of trouble, I will have your skins. Director Fu cast a glance at Director Huang, who was following closely behind, and remarked coolly, What are you doing here, Huang? The team requires your leadership. Director, what are you saying? You are a pillar of strength. How could I allow you to face danger alone? Director Huang, panting heavily, caught up with Director Fu, wiping the cold sweat from his forehead. With a forced smile, he leaned closer and remarked, Moreover, with Inspector Chen keeping watch over the team, I have complete faith. However, your safety is of utmost importance. I would risk my life to protect you. Director Fu narrowed his eyes, a fleeting glint of ruthlessness appearing. Yet a meaningful smile curled at the corners of his mouth. You are quite astute, he said, delivering a hearty pat on Huang's shoulder that echoed loudly. But do not show any signs of weakness later. The members of the Yian Society despise cowards. Don't jeopardize my plans, he added, his words laden with implication. Turning his gaze toward the tense crowd, his eyes swept over Xiang Jia and Wang Yu, and his smile grew colder. Chapter 289. Why bother with the youngster's kill? Kill. Kill. As Director Fu and Director Huang crossed the security line, a sudden cacophony of metal clashing reverberated throughout the venue. The members of the Yian Society simultaneously slammed their machetes and steel pipes onto the ground, sending dust cascading from the stands and raising clouds of smoke. Police, get out. Come closer, and there will be no mercy. He Chaoxin, witnessing the scene, exclaimed in exhilaration. Today is truly the right day to be here. Where else could one witness such a spectacle at home? Usually, I have bodyguards trailing behind me, and everyone treats me with utmost respect. It was her first encounter with such a thrilling atmosphere. She couldn't help but take out her phone, snapping several photos of the event before sending them to her sister. Director Huang, Terrified, contemplated turning back. Can these ruffians be reasoned with? What if they get agitated and stab me? Director Fu's pupils dilated sharply, his brows furrowing deeply. Yet, in the next moment, his face was adorned with a fade of insincere cheerfulness as he forced a congenial smile. Brothers, I am here to mediate. I am Fu Dexin. You may not know me, but we are all compatriots. Why resort to violence? He raised his hand, signaling Huang to step back, lest they provoke the opposition. Young Master Xiang, this old fellow shows some bravery. Should we let him in? Xiang Long, observing the situation from distance, inquired of Xiang Jia. She nodded in agreement. Upon receiving her approval, Xiang Long raised his hand to calm the restless crowd. Instantly, silence enveloped the room, leaving only the sound of heavy breathing echoing within the venue. He stepped forward, his dual blades swaying gently at his back. Director Fu, it is an honor to meet you. Director Huang, it has been a while. His gaze fell upon Huang's trembling hand, a smirk of derision creeping onto his lips. Perhaps it would be wise for your men to lower their weapons first. Hello, young man. Director Fu maintained his cheerful demeanor, swiftly pressing Huang's hand down as it instinctively reached for his firearm. He turned to the officers outside the security line, gesturing, "Put away your weapons. I trust that the brothers of the E in society will be reasonable." Inspector Chen quickly instructed his men to lower their guns, keeping a tense watch on the unfolding events. Xiang Long slightly nodded, stepping aside to create a passage. "Since Director Fu has faith in us, please come in." The crowd parted, gazes fixed intently upon the two men. As Director Huang was about to step forward to follow the silhouette of Director Fu, he was halted by Xiang Long. Huang's hand trembled visibly. Xiang Long glanced at the handgun at Huang's waist, his tone a mix of mockery and amusement. Why not leave the weapon behind? We, at Ian Society, do not wish to hear the sound of accidental discharge. Before Huang could retort, Xiang Long had already seized the sidearm, idly toying with it in his hand. "You." Huang's face flushed a deep shade of crimson, his trembling finger pointing accusingly at Xiang Long. "You dare. This is a police-issued firearm. To seize it is a grave offense." He stumbled forward, only to be restrained by Director Fu. "Director Huang, why quarrel with a young man?" Director Fu smiled with a veneer of politeness, albeit with a hint of insincerity. He turned to Xiang Long, mustering a smile. "Since this young man has spoken, we shall naturally defer to his wishes." Huang's face reddened further, his teeth grinding audibly. Yet he found himself with no other recourse. In the blink of an eye, they arrived before Xiangzhua and Wang Yu. The arrival of Director Fu steadied Zhang Xiong, dispelling his panic. He was confident that Wang Yu and his companions would treat Director Fu with the utmost respect. After all, he was not someone to be trifled with by a mere Xiong family. Director Fu's gaze swept the room, and upon spotting He Chaoxin, his pupils constricted, momentarily pausing, before settling on Wang Yu. Observing his handsome visage and exceptional attire, he furrowed his brow and inquired, "Who is this?" "Director Fu, you may not be aware. This Wang Yu is merely an arrogant outsider, relying on his tenuous connection to the Xiong family." Zhang Xiong interjected, stepping forward with feigned enthusiasm and pride. He cast a sidelong glance at Wang Yu, his eyes glinting with malice. Upon hearing that Wang Yu was merely an outsider, Director Fu relaxed somewhat. As long as it did not interfere with his plans, it was of no concern. Zhang Xiong keenly observed the deepening furrow of Director Fu's brow, a surge of glee swelling within him as he added, "He has meddled in the Xiong family's affairs. Perhaps tonight he will taste blood. Such a person, Director, you must deal with decisively. I care not for your grievances. Release him immediately." Director Fu crossed his arms, his chin slightly elevated, surveying Xiangzhua and Wang Yu from a position of authority. His gaze swept over the chaos around him, his voice suddenly stern. "And you, individuals of Ian Society, congregating in disorder and disturbing public order, disarm immediately and accompany me to the police station for surrender. Resistance will only lead to dire consequences. Do you see the police force outside?" He turned to face the vigilant officers stationed beyond the venue, raising his voice. "At my command, you shall find no escape. Do not presume you can defy the authorities. Those with sense should cooperate promptly for leniency." Director Fu's eyes roamed over the members of Ian Society, finally resting on the Xiong siblings. "I advise you not to ruin the century-old legacy of the Xiong family. Indeed, do not be foolish enough to refuse a toast and instead drink punishment. Surrender now, and you may endure less suffering." Director Huang chimed in, puffing himself up with feigned authority. He cast a smug glance at Xiangzhua, as if envisioning her imminent capitulation. Previously, he had offered her a measure of respect. But now, with the Xiang family having offended the wrong individuals, he believed that their days of defiance were numbered with Director Fu's intervention. At this moment, he could finally vent the pent-up frustration within him, feeling a wave of relief wash over his heart. The Xiang family had their day. Tonight, he would ensure that all these individuals were apprehended and would relish in addressing their misdeeds. Director Fu wielded a significant authority. Zheng Jigang had led a group of thugs to corner him, nearly costing him his life. Yet, he now accused them of inciting a riot? Xiang Zhua let out a scoff, the chill in his gaze intensifying. Who could deny it? Such grandiosity in authority. Xiang Yu spoke languidly, questioning, inciting a riot and disturbing public order? And what of you, young Master Zheng, who stormed into the racecourse with hundreds, armed to the teeth? Does that not constitute an assault on a government establishment? He turned to face Director Fu, a smirk of unabashed derision gracing his lips. If you are blind to the facts, I would be more than willing to assist you in regaining your sight. You are utterly lawless. It seems you wish to defy the entire establishment. Director Fu's face turned a deep shade of crimson, his finger trembling in fury as he pointed at the Xiang siblings. Abruptly, he spun around and bellowed at the police outside the venue. Listen up, in 5 minutes. If they do not surrender, disregard our orders and launch a full assault. Director Huang, standing nearby, was taken aback. No, Chief. This is too reckless. Surrounded by thousands of formidable men. Are you seeking death? Or your own life? Chapter 290, Relying on Ruthlessness. Director Huang was almost beside himself with anxiety. He was about to voice his concerns when the thunderous roars from the members of Ian Society sent a shiver down his spine, causing the stands to vibrate ominously, as if on the brink of erupting into a bloody conflict. Seeing the situation unfold, Director Huang retreated behind Director Fu, aligning himself with Zheng Xiong and his son. Feeling utterly at a loss, observing the scene, he couldn't help but feel regret. Had he known Director Fu would be so aggressive, he would have stayed back to direct from a safe distance. At least that would have guaranteed his safety. He was bewildered by what support Director Fu had that emboldened him to provoke such ruffians. One could never tell how it might end for him. From his understanding, Director Fu was not so naive. Was there another plan in motion? Xiang Zhua realized that the situation had escalated significantly, with Director Fu personally present. Unlike past outings of Ian Society, where even Director Huang would barely pay attention, now the stakes were different. Previously, as long as they operated discreetly and avoided detection, there was nothing to fear. At worst, they would recruit a few newcomers to act as scapegoats, simultaneously testing their courage. For reasons unknown, his father was absent tonight, leaving him uncertain about how to confront Director Fu. He dared not make a move. To do so would jeopardize his standing in the entire Huagua. Now, he could only place his hopes on Wang Yu. Although the Wang family held unparalleled power on the mainland, unafraid of anyone, this was Hong Kong. Despite a recent helicopter formation arriving for Wang Yu, they were now confronted with Director Fu. If he truly sought to delve into this matter, it could prove troublesome. Xiang Zhua realized there was no way out for him. Director Fu had come with formidable intent, clearly prepared for a showdown. The tactics of the past would likely no longer suffice. His gaze swept over the vigilant police outside the venue, brows furrowed in concern. He turned to Wang Yu, lowering his voice. My father hasn't appeared, and the situation has spiraled out of control. Do you have any solutions? Xiang Zhua assessed the scene, gritting his teeth. At worst, I'll have my brothers fight it out. We can retreat. They won't be able to stop us. Safety is paramount. Don't rush. They're merely insignificant players, unworthy of concern. Today, even the mightiest must kneel. Wang Yu chuckled softly, shaking his head, unconcerned about being overheard by Director Fu. Upon hearing this, Xiang Zhua and the others breathed a sigh of relief. Wang Yu's confidence was evidently reassuring, alleviating their worries. He Chao Xian gazed at Wang Yu with admiration. His calm demeanor was impressive, while the likes of Xiang Zhua appeared intimidated. This is the mark of a true man. Director Fu's expression darkened at Wang Yu's words, his glare fixed on the latter's unruffled face. Such bravado. Today, I shall see who truly needs to kneel. A sinister smile curled at the corner of Director Fu's lips as he turned his attention to Wang Yu. I see you come from an illustrious background, but today's murky waters are beyond your capacity to navigate. If you know what is good for you, keep your distance. Xiang Zhua, it's time to stop resisting. Don't expect your father to come to your aid. He was just desperately seeking help by calling me, Director Fu stated nonchalantly. I won't say I haven't given you a chance. As long as the Xiang family and the Ian Society are of use to me, The Zheng family will compensate you satisfactorily. If you comply, I shall consider this matter as if it never occurred, and all shall remain unharmed. But Director Fu, this isn't what we agreed upon. Zheng Xiong exclaimed in shock. Zheng Zhigang also wore a look of panic. He had the confidence to confront the Yi in society only because of the support he received from this very man. Having already paid a dear price, he was now severely injured, uncertain if his legs and arms would ever heal properly. Now that it was time to reap the rewards. Why was Director Fu deviating from their prior agreement? Wasn't it agreed that the Zheng family would replace the Xiong family as the rulers of the underground world? Had Director Fu gone back on his word? Director Fu merely cast a disinterested glance at the Zheng father and son. Fools! Do they truly believe I am a simpleton? As long as the Xiong family serves my interests, why would I expend effort supporting the Zheng family? Just ensure the money flows smoothly. In terms of gang development, whether I can still command it in the future remains to be seen. Wang Yu regarded him with newfound respect. Initially, he thought Director Fu was merely a schemer, employing petty tricks for personal advancement. However, it now appeared that he was a competent player, adept at consolidating all resources for his use. Only through such means could one ascend to higher echelons. After reaching his position, any further ascent would require exponentially greater effort. The phrase "a general success is built upon the bones of the fallen" is not merely a hollow saying. Without the support of these prominent families, the hope for someone of his age to enter the central authority is exceedingly slim. Even a small step forward is unthinkable without the assistance of a benefactor. Yet, exceptional talents are plentiful, while true benefactors are rare. The only reliable path is to depend on oneself. Director Fu, as the highest authority here, has staggered through the tumultuous landscape for decades, nearing the end of his days. His ascent to this position is attributed to his relentless tenacity. He welcomes all resources at his disposal, rejecting none, and those who defy him shall meet a tragic end. Xiang Zhao, Xiang Junling, and Xiang Yu exchanged glances in disbelief, never anticipating that he harbored such intentions. The turmoil of the day was merely to set his sights on the entire Xiong family. Alas, he has chosen the wrong target. A mere director does not merit the Xiong family's allegiance. Moreover, if the Xiong family sought a strong ally, they need look no further than Wang Yu, whose family is 1,000 times more formidable than his own. Only a fool would forsake the towering Wang family. The elder of the Wang family is still alive, and in ancient times, Wang Yu would be considered an indisputable heir. Furthermore, he is the sole scion. The future of the Wang family is uncertain a century hence. But for now, anyone daring to provoke Wang Yu or the Wang family is courting death. Xiang Zhao could not help but find the situation amusing. He rose, his eyes glinting with coldness. Director Fu, your calculations are certainly audacious. Regrettably, my Xiang family holds you in disdain. To think we would serve you like mere hounds. Never. Xiang Yu, equally unreserved, retorted, at your age, it seems you have become quite muddled. It would be wise for you to step down. Does Director Fu truly believe the Xiong family would pledge their loyalty to him? It seems he is sorely mistaken. Xiang Junling, suppressing her fury, elegantly adjusted her skirt and stood, meeting his gaze directly. A sinister smile crept across Director Fu's face, unfazed by their reactions. He leisurely withdrew a stack of photographs from his pocket, scattering them across the floor. Images depicting members of the Yi in society engaged in various illicit transactions. Should this evidence reach higher authorities, coupled with today's loss of numerous lives, the Xiong family would surely face utter devastation. Director Fu spoke nonchalantly. However, if you're willing to cooperate, all of this can be rendered non-existent. His gaze swept over Xiang Zhao, Xiang Junling, and Xiang Yu. Align with me, and the Xiong family will not only preserve its current enterprises, but I can also assist you in securing more projects, ports, real estate, minerals, anything you desire is within reach. Suddenly, Xiang Zhao and Xiang Yu burst into laughter, Xiang Zhao even shedding tears from mirth. Chapter 291. Should there be any deviation, thunder will strike. Why the laughter? Director Fu's expression darkened as he inquired. Do you find my terms unsatisfactory? Feel free to voice your desires. Yet, Xiang Zhao and Xiang Yu paid him no heed, continuing their unabated laughter. Director Fu's countenance grew increasingly grim. Director Huang's expression was a spectacle. Pale and flushed, his lips moved as if to speak, but ultimately he chose silence, opting to remain inconspicuous. In the current circumstances, there is no room for him to speak. Any misstep on his part would lead him into trouble. Before his arrival, He assumed it was merely a straightforward act of violence, but it has become evident that the situation is far more intricate. The ambitions of such a formidable figure are vast, beyond his comprehension. Zheng Xiong and Zheng Jigang breathed a sigh of relief, as long as Xiang Jianing remained resolute. Even if Director Fu had intentions, there was little he could do. After all, they still needed to rely on the Zheng family. Observing the maniacal laughter of Xiang Zhao and Xiang Yu, Zheng Xiong found himself with a measure of admiration for these young scions of the Xiang family. They are indeed tough characters. Had they yielded earlier, Zheng Xiong would have genuinely feared that Director Fu might act decisively, which would spell trouble for the Zheng family in the days to come. Zheng Xiong glanced at Director Fu's grim countenance and remarked, "Director, why waste your breath on these reckless individuals? They are inciting a riot and wielding weapons. We have irrefutable evidence. With just a command from you, we could charge in and see how long they can maintain their arrogance." Zheng Jigang mustered the strength to rise, oblivious to the pain coursing through him. Father is right. Director Fu, engaging in reasoned discourse with these ruffians would only diminish your stature. He shouted, his voice fervent. Look at what they have done to me. If we do not eradicate the Ian society today, who will regard you with respect in the future? Director Fu, perhaps we should leave. This is no place for prolonged stay. I refuse to believe they would dare lay a hand on you or prevent your departure. Zheng Xiong turned to support Director Fu, his face a mask of servility. He lowered his voice, conspiratorially whispering, "Once we are outside, controlling these individuals will be a mere matter of your command." Stealing a glance at the immovable Director Fu, he silently cursed while maintaining his smile. "Director, the longer we linger, the more complications may arise. The stench of blood here is overwhelming. We must not soil your dignity." Zheng Xiong was nearly frantic. Despite his clear entreaties, Director Fu remained unmoved. But what could he do? After all, he was the leader. The surrounding members of the Ian society glared with murderous intent, a sight he anticipated. With a mere command from Xiang Zhao, they could all perish here. Even with hundreds of armed police officers aimed in their direction, once a fight broke out, it would be easy to dispose of them. Just as the tension escalated to its peak, the laughter of Xiang Zhao and Xiang Yu gradually faded. They exchanged a glance, their expressions inscrutable. Then, they turned their gaze toward their elder sister, Xiang Junling, who gave a slight nod, seemingly offering them affirmation and support. Resolute, they rose together, their strides steady and purposeful as they approached Wang Yu. They knelt before Wang Yu, the sound echoing in the still air. All eyes, including those of Zheng Xiong and Director Fu, were fixated on them, astonished and perplexed by the brothers' unexpected submission. Despite not being brothers in blood, they had always acted as such. The audacity of this arrogant individual to expect the Xiong family to yield was truly a grave misjudgment. In the realm of governance, a ruler is chosen by the subjects, just as subjects may select their sovereign. During this period, your remarkable spirit and sense of responsibility have left me profoundly impressed. Henceforth, I, Xiang Zhua, pledge my unwavering allegiance to you. From this moment on, both the Xiong family and the Ian Association shall heed your guidance without question. Should I falter in this vow, may the heavens unleash their wrath upon me." Following suit, Xiang Yu declared, "I, too, am willing to entrust my life into your hands. From now on, should you direct us eastward, we shall not dare to venture west. In this world, you are the first and will remain the sole one, to whom we willingly submit in loyalty." Upon concluding their declarations, the two men struck their fists heavily against their chests as a testament to their resolve. Wang Yu stood frozen in astonishment at this display. Witnessing the heirs of the Xiong family pay such homage before him, a tidal wave of shock surged within him. After a brief moment of stunned silence, he quickly regained his composure, his voice tinged with emotion. "Please rise. I, Wang Yu, am unworthy of such profound reverence. From this day forward, we shall be brothers, bound to share both life and death." Wang Yu's gaze burned with intensity as it swept across Xiang Zhua and Xiang Yu's faces. "Your choice shall remain etched in my heart. In the days to come, we shall share fortune and misfortune alike, and should I, Wang Yu, betray either of you, may thunder strike me down." The atmosphere grew increasingly tense, with astonishment reflected in the eyes of the E and Association members. Xiang Long and Xiang, who were equally taken aback. The actions of Xiang Zhua and Xiang Yu effectively tied the fate of both the Xiong family and the Yi Association to Wang Yu. Although they were unaware of their leader's intentions or the extent of Wang Yu's influence, they were resolute in following their choice. Xiang Zhuo and Xiang Yu had undoubtedly made what they believed to be the most righteous decision. Of that, there could be no doubt. Xiang Long and Xiang Hu nodded in agreement, kneeling on one knee, their gazes fervently fixed on Wang Yu as they proclaimed, "We vow to follow you unto death. Should we stray from this oath, may the heavens unleash their wrath upon us." The thousands of Yi Association disciples behind them followed suit, kneeling and fervently waving their weapons in a show of loyalty. In the distance, Inspector Chen observed the unfolding scene with a furrowed brow, his anxiety mounting as he pondered what had incited such fervor among the Yi members. Wang Yu's pupils quivered violently as he beheld the sea of kneeling figures, the air filled with the resonance of their pledges. All eyes were upon him. Wang Yu's throat constricted as he took a deep breath and strode toward Xiang's, placing a reassuring hand upon his shoulder. "Brother Xiang, there is no need for such grand gestures between us." He then turned to Xiang Yu, pulling him up with vigor. "From now on, we are all comrades." He swiftly approached Xiang Long and Xiang Hu. "The bond of brotherhood you two share, I shall remember." Wang Yu's grip was like iron as he clasped both their arms, lifting them effortlessly. "From this day forth, we are brothers." Xiang Long and Xiang Hu's eyes widened in astonishment as they regarded Wang Yu, realizing that the strength they had cultivated was powerless against him. Their resolve solidified even further. Xiang Shao's choice was not misguided. Wang Yu's strength surprisingly surpassed theirs. It is noteworthy that they had cultivated their ancient martial arts to a profound level. Yet Wang Yu effortlessly lifted them with ease. This was no trivial matter. Chapter 292. Here are all model citizens as the four individuals rose. Wang Yu turned to face the throngs of Yi and society members. He was somewhat taken aback by the Xiang family's loyalty towards the Yi and society. Though it was not entirely unexpected, the Xiang family had seen better days, and the Yi and society had only thrived overseas in recent years. Had it not been for Wang Yu's sudden arrival in Hong Kong, the Xiang family might have faced a significant downfall in this current predicament. He was uncertain whether the Wang family required this newfound strength, but apart from wealth, Wang Yu possessed little else. The Xiang family's allegiance perfectly filled that void. "Everyone, from this day forth, we are all comrades. Your enemies are my enemies. Your glory is my glory. The Wang family will never be bullied." Yi Chengxin's face flushed crimson, unable to restrain herself from clenching her legs. Wang Yu was simply too handsome. Director Fu felt a surge of fury rising from his heart to his head. The Xiang family would rather pledge allegiance to an unknown youth than to him. Were they truly unafraid of death? "Very well," he exclaimed. He had initially intended to give the Xiang family a chance, but now he realized he had been too lenient. He snorted coldly and chose to say no more. Turning to leave, Zheng Xiong and his son, along with Director Huang, hurriedly followed suit. In such a situation, lingering would be perilous. Wang Yu's gaze, sharp as a hawk's, swept over the retreating figures of Director Fu and his entourage. He called out, "Brothers, kindly retain our esteemed guests. Do not let them depart. Since they are here, we ought to reminisce properly, for they cannot leave so easily." As his words fell, the members of the Yi in society sprang into action, surging toward Director Fu and his group like a tidal wave. Their movements were swift, effectively sealing off any avenue of escape. "What do you intend to do? You dare lay hands on me? You are not worthy," Director Fu exclaimed, feigning calm despite his internal alarm. Wang Yu's lips curled into a sardonic smile. "Not worthy? Before my Wang family, it is not for you to utter such words. Since you are here today, do not expect to leave unscathed." With that, he advanced slowly, each step resonating with strength and an unspoken pressure. Zheng Xiong, Director Huang, and the others were already pale with fear, their legs trembling slightly. They had never anticipated that matters would escalate to such a degree. What they had believed to be a mere display of pressure was, in fact, a serious confrontation initiated by this young man named Wang Yu. "Wang Yu, do not overstep your bounds," Director Fu shouted, his bravado faltering. "I am not someone you can provoke. If you are wise, you will command these people to stand down. If you do not provide an explanation today, my brothers may become rather uncomfortable." Wang Yu showed no sign of halting his advance, smiling as he did so. The words he spoke ignited even greater fervor among the Yi and society members. They fixed their gaze intently on Director Fu and the others, ready to charge forth at Wang Yu's command without a moment's hesitation. "How dare you?" Director Fu exclaimed, his eyes ablaze with fury. When had a mere child dared to address him in such a manner? Such audacity was truly outrageous. Suddenly, a thunderous explosion echoed from a distance. What is there to fear? Director Fu is indeed formidable. Wang Yu looked up to see dozens of black vehicles entering through the main gate, from which Xiang Huaqiang emerged with purposeful strides, followed closely by the anxious Xiang Tai and a throng of bodyguards. The leader, the members of the Yi and society rejoiced, respectfully calling out to him. Xiang Huaqiang smiled and nodded at them, relieved to see that those present were unharmed. Stay alert. Inspector Chun, witnessing the situation, was drenched in beads of sweat. Director Fu was still inside, and now a multitude had arrived on the opposing side. It was a grave miscalculation. Had he known, he would have brought more men. Xiang Huaqiang, you may not be worthy. Fu Dexin merely cast him a disdainful glance, unperturbed. If I am unworthy, then what of this individual? Xiang Huaqiang smiled faintly. From a nearby inconspicuous black car, a young man emerged, appearing to be in his 30s, dressed simply like any ordinary young person. However, upon sighting him, Director Huang, Zhang Xiong, and Inspector Chen felt their pupils constrict and stood frozen in place. Director Fu's brows furrowed deeply, his fists clenched tight, sensing that something was amiss. The young man surveyed his surroundings after stepping out, his gaze sweeping over Director Fu, Director Huang, and the others before finally resting on Wang Yu. A smile graced his face as he nodded in acknowledgement. He then walked calmly through the standoff, directly approaching Inspector Chun, his voice steady yet imbued with undeniable authority. Put away your guns. These are all upstanding citizens of Sanhao City, and your weapons are not aimed at them. The commander is watching from the vehicle. Understood. Everyone, holster your weapons. Protect the commander. Inspector Chun could not suppress his internal sarcasm. His eyes scanned the venue, filled with thousands of tattooed and muscular men. Upstanding citizens? If they were indeed upstanding citizens, then he must be the modern-day saint. Though he grumbled inwardly, he dared not slacken his efforts, ordering his subordinates to stow their firearms and then instinctively moved to the front of the car. They formed a protective circle, not daring to glance inside the vehicle, fearing the repercussions of any misstep. He had his suspicions about the occupant within. Tonight was bound to be intriguing, as events were likely to take an unexpected turn. The young man did not linger, advancing towards Director Fu. The brothers of the Yi in society, at Wang Yu's gesture, parted to create a pathway for him. Approaching closely, he leaned in to whisper a few words into Director Fu's ear. Fu Dexin's expression shifted dramatically, unable to maintain his composure. Without delay, he dashed toward the black limousine, with Zhang Xiong and the others hastily following, breaking free from the encirclement of the Yi in society, and finally found a moment of respite. Zhang Xiong's expression was rather remarkable, oscillating between innocence and confusion, his mind swirling with countless thoughts. This young man was indeed the secretary of a prominent figure. Could it be that he had come to the scene in person? Xiang Hua strode over to Xiang Zhua and the others, a rare flicker of concern surfacing in his murky eyes. Are you all unharmed? His rough hands moved back and forth over Xiang Zhua and Xiang Yu's shoulders, as if seeking confirmation that they were truly okay. We're fine, just a minor incident. Xiang Yu chuckled, giving Xiang Hua a reassuring pat on the shoulder. Xiang Tai's eyes were red-rimmed, and upon seeing his children safe, he let out a sigh of relief and enveloped Xiang Junling in an embrace. Turning to face Wang Yu, her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Had there been any mishap today, the words left unspoken would have turned into a tremulous sigh. Suddenly, Xiang Hua gave Wang Yu's shoulder a firm pat. Young Master Wang, what Xiang Zhua and the others just said reflects the entire Xiang family's commitment. Should any matters arise in the future, do not hesitate to command us. We are at your service, come what may. Uncle Xiang, you speak too gravely. Xiang Zhua is my brother. We were merely joking, no need to take it to heart. Wang Yu turned his gaze towards Xiang Zhua and his siblings, a genuine smile gracing his lips. Chapter 293. Who dares to touch me once words are spoken? They cannot be retracted, from now on. The Xiang family will heed the Wang family's directives and pledge their unwavering loyalty to you. The Xiang family stands by their word. Xiang Hua regarded this young man with newfound respect. He felt quite satisfied with this outcome, as the Xiang family's fortunes had indeed dwindled, and forging a connection with the Wang family was something he eagerly desired. Although Wang Yu claimed it was all in jest, he took it to heart. Young Master Wang. Xiang's voice caught in his throat, his eyes instantly reddening. He had never witnessed his father express such solemnity, nor had he anticipated that Wang Yu would refer to him as a brother. There is no need for such formalities between us. Call me Wang Yu. It feels more natural. Wang Yu nodded, chuckling lightly as he playfully punched Xiang Zhua's arm. It is the 21st century after all. Wang Yu's mindset was not that of an old-fashioned individual. while the Xiang family pledged allegiance to the Wang family. It did not imply that he would adopt an air of superiority, though human nature often leans towards fear of authority rather than virtue. Would they dare to present a fade in front of the Wang family? He was not inclined to put on airs. However, Wang Yu held a deep appreciation for the Xiang family's spirited demeanor and felt at ease dealing with such individuals. Young master, I am Secretary Lin Yiqian to Chief Yun. You may call me Xiao Lin. The young man approached respectfully. Greetings. Wang Yu extended his hand for a handshake, then inquired with a hint of confusion. Who is Chief Yun? The secretary before him was undoubtedly sent by Wang Jiangwo to manage subsequent affairs. But Wang Yu was unfamiliar with who had arrived. His knowledge of the leadership here was quite limited. Noticing his perplexity, Xiangzhuo leaned in to whisper a few words in his ear. Suddenly, Wang Yu's expression shifted to one of understanding. So this young man was his secretary, and Chief Yun was someone particularly significant. That certainly made sense. Director Fu had initially been quite assertive, but upon encountering this individual, he was visibly taken aback. No wonder. He was indeed his superior, which made him feel anxious. With so many people around, the officers could only remain in their vehicles. Commander Yin instructed me to convey his apologies. I sincerely regret that he will personally express his contrition to you shortly. Xiao Lin said with a slight bow and a smile. Are there other leaders present? Xiao Lin replied softly. There are a few others. Wang Yu nodded in understanding, feeling immensely grateful that Commander Yun would take the time to come here for such a trivial matter. It truly felt excessive to speak of apologies. Commander Yin often remarked that the Wang family produces exceptional talents. Xiao Lin's smile deepened as he produced a gilded business card, presenting it to Wang Yu with both hands. It was indeed an honor to meet you today. This is my personal contact information, and I hope you will accept it. Should you require any assistance while in Hong Kong, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you, Secretary Lin. Wang Yu accepted the card without hesitation, placing it into his pocket, graciously accepting his kindness. Lin Yiqian felt a surge of excitement upon seeing Wang Yu accept his card. As the secretary to the commander, having discernment and insight was essential. Today, accompanied by several commanders, they had come here with great fanfare solely for this young man from the mainland. Wang Yu, initially puzzled, he only understood the significance after the commander's insightful guidance. The Southwest Wang family. No wonder the commanders came in person. Xiang Taizheng and Xiang Junling conversed quietly, and from the corner of their eyes, they noticed He Zhaoshan blushing as she stood at the side, gazing intently at Wang Yu, her disheveled hair failing to conceal the admiration and excitement in her eyes. How did you end up here all alone? She asked, slightly frowning as she released her hold on Xiang Huaqiang and stepped forward in her high heels. And why is your face so flushed? Have you been frightened? Should I take you to the hospital? She gently brushed aside the strands of hair on He Zhaoshan's forehead, her fingertips grazing the other's warm cheek in concern. The Xiang and He families have always maintained a relationship, though their ties were once strained due to conflicts in the hotel and gambling industries. The complexities have gradually faded with time, leading to a thaw in relations. The Xiang family has grown fond of the youngest princess of the gambling king, primarily due to her striking beauty. Yet, he was puzzled as to why she had come here alone and found herself embroiled in this incident. It's nothing. It's just too warm inside the venue. He Zhaoshan stammered like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Is that so? Xiang Taizheng felt her forehead, confirming that she was indeed fine. That's a relief. Suddenly, Xiang Junling peered from behind her mother, poking He Zhaoshan's flushed earlobe with her fingertip. You're fine, but your face is redder than a lobster. Xiang Junling could not help but chuckle, earning herself an annoyed glare from He Zhaoshan. What are you laughing at? She stamped her foot, feeling a bit vexed. He Zhaoshan intended to swat Xiang Junling, but her high heel caught on a stick. Just as she was about to stumble, a strong arm wrapped around her waist. She turned her head and noticed that Wang Yu had approached swiftly and steadied her. Be careful, he said with a smile, his eyes sparkling like stars. He Qianxin froze in place, her heart racing almost out of her chest. Suddenly, she pushed Wang Yu away, feigning anger as she exclaimed. Who asked you to care? Who told you to touch me? She was quite irked, red-faced as she linked arms with Xiang Junling, muttering under her breath. Wang Yu merely shook his head with a smile. Quite the proud one, he mused, but he did not feel compelled to win her over. He simply found her earlier embrace intriguing, noting her slender waist. Xiang Junling stifled a laugh as He Qianxin pinched her in secret, deliberately raising an eyebrow at Wang Yu. Young Master Wang, our Qianxin is just tough on the outside. Please don't take it to heart. He Qianxin's face flushed, her toes unconsciously grinding against the ground, while she discreetly gauged Wang Yu's reaction from the corner of her eye. "It's fine," Wang Yu chuckled softly, waving his hand dismissively. "If young Master Wang says so, then we can rest assured." Xiang Junling exaggeratedly clutched her heart, casting a mischievous glance at He Qianxin. Clearly, someone was overjoyed when they fell into my arms just now. I can still feel her heartbeat. "Ah, don't say that, Junling. You dislike him," He Qianxin exclaimed as she abruptly stomped on her friend's foot, but her hasty movement caused her to stumble, grabbing Xiang Junling's shoulder to steady herself. Embarrassed and flustered, she buried her head in Xiang Junling's embrace, too shy to meet Wang Yu's gaze. Wang Yu simply chuckled lightly, finding the girl quite amusing. At that moment, Xiang Tai finally grasped the situation. No wonder it felt odd. It appeared that He Qianxin harbored feelings for Wang Yu. It was hardly surprising, given Wang Yu's handsome appearance. It was difficult for any girl not to be enamored. If not for her Junling being a bit older, she would have long sought to matchmake them. It was a pity, really. She had previously hoped to bring together Xiang Zhua and Xiang Yu with the He sisters, who were both lovely and well-behaved, with families that were well-acquainted. Having them as daughters-in-law would have delighted Xiang Tai. Yet, those two rascals had somehow ended up as friends, leaving their mother utterly exasperated. "Young Master Wang, the situation is now settled. Please allow our friends from the Ian Society to withdraw first," Lin Yichen said, hastening to Wang Yu's side, his gaze sweeping over the densely packed members of the Ian Society in the venue. He lowered his voice, "With so many people gathered here, it's bound to attract unnecessary attention, which is not favorable for you or the officials." Wang Yu nodded slightly, understanding the implication. With Commander Yun's presence, the situation was evidently conclusive. It would not reflect well on either him or the Ian Society to be associated here. He raised his hand, signaling Lin Yichen to wait, and stepped toward Xiang Huaqiang, who was quietly conversing with Xiang Long and others not far away. When Xiang Huaqiang noticed his approach, he spoke. "Young Master Wang, is there anything else you require?" Wang Yu's gaze swept over the remaining members of the Ian Society, still on standby within the venue. Lowering his voice, he said, "Now that the matter has been resolved, it may not be prudent for the brothers to remain here." He paused, then added apologetically, "Could I trouble you to arrange for everyone to leave first?" Understanding the gravity of the situation, Xiang Huaqiang furrowed his brow, but quickly nodded in comprehension. Wang Yu's status was exceedingly sensitive. Furthermore, with leaders still in the vehicle, should this information leak, it could stir up considerable turmoil. Despite the fact that they could not be held accountable, he turned to summon Xiang Long and instructed solemnly, "Inform the brothers to disperse immediately, exercise caution on the way, and avoid drawing attention. Have Ahu stay behind with a few others to ensure the site is tidied up." As Xiang Long prepared to leave, Xiang Huaqiang called him back. Once Xiang Long had hastened away, Xiang Huaqiang patted Wang Yu's shoulder reassuringly. "Rest assured, young Master Wang, Xiang Long will lead them out promptly." Under Xiang Long's direction, thousands of disciples from the Yian Society began to exit the premises. As they passed by Inspector Chun and Zheng Xiong, they could not resist taunting them, eager for a confrontation. The police, though seething with indignation, could only watch their departure in silence. Zheng Xiong's complexion paled. He was no fool. The fact that the Yian Society could leave unscathed while Inspector Chun and Director Huang remained unresponsive spoke volumes. Director Fu lingered in the car, reluctant to emerge. The situation had escalated dramatically. He discreetly took out his phone and sent a message, then shook his head in resignation at his son. Zheng Jigang felt his heart plummet. His hands trembled. He had come seeking trouble with Xiang Long, and when lives were lost, he had remained unperturbed. Even after suffering significant injuries himself, while his brothers endured heavy losses, he had not been overly concerned. He had believed that victory was destined to be his. Xiang Long and his cohorts could only flaunt their arrogance for so long, hence his lack of genuine worry. But now, panic gripped him as the unfolding events deviated entirely from his initial plans. Even the governor had arrived. Director Fu was in grave peril. He turned to observe Wang Yu engaged in light-hearted conversation with Xiang Huaqiang and his secretary. The source of all trouble lay with him. What was his true identity that could summon such a formidable figure? Zheng Jigang realized that the Zheng family was likely doomed. He himself was also finished. His nails dug deeply into his palm when, unexpectedly, he saw Inspector Chun striding towards the black sedan. A jolt of alarm surged through him. Witnessing Inspector Chun raise his hand to open the car door, salute, and then forcibly pull Director Fu from the vehicle, two armed policemen swiftly moved in to restrain his wrists. "What are you doing?" Director Fu exclaimed, his collar askew, face flushed as he struggled, his shoes leaving chaotic marks on the ground. "I brought you out." and now you come to arrest me? This is utterly outrageous. Fu Dixin, the evidence is irrefutable. Cease your resistance, came the cold response from Inspector Chun, whose expression bore a hint of regret. You are suspected of embezzlement, bribery, and abuse of power. From this day forth, you are no longer entitled to issue commands. 10 minutes ago, he was the esteemed Director Fu, but now he was on the verge of becoming a prisoner. And it was he who had been apprehended by his own hands. Inspector Chun could not suppress a sense of satisfaction bubbling within him. This man was a director, a figure of considerable stature, second only to the governor. Typically, he would not even have forged in a glance. Little did anyone suspect that he was a corrupt official. Truly, he was deserving of his fate. At that moment, Secretary Xiao Lin stood anxiously at a distance, observing the unfolding scene. When he saw that the situation was entirely under control and Director Fu was being escorted towards the police car, he let out a sigh of relief. He then approached the vehicle alongside Wang Yu and a few others. As they drew near, Director Fu caught sight of Wang Yu and bellowed, "Wang Yu, if you had mentioned your father is Wang Jiangwo earlier, would we be in this predicament? Don't touch me." Fu Dixin suddenly erupted into a mad laughter, spitting as he spoke. "I told you I am Wang Yu, a member of the Wang family. Yet you dismissed it." Wang Yu shrugged, helplessly, a faint smile escaping his lips. Director Fu's face turned crimson, rendered speechless. Indeed, Wang Yu had initially revealed his lineage. But how could Fu have known that Wang Yu's father was Wang Jiangwo and his grandfather was Wang Zhaojun? He had assumed Wang Yu belonged to some obscure family. Unaware of the formidable connections behind him, struggling against his restraints, Fu Dixin found himself firmly held by the police, his wrists adorned with silver handcuffs. His eyes bulged with fury as he glared at Wang Yu, his gaze filled with a desire to consume him whole. "You wretched scoundrel! A lifetime of my endeavors has been obliterated because of you." Shaking his wrists in defiance, Fu shouted, "What you are doing is illegal. If I have committed an offense, the Anti-Corruption Bureau will come for me. What right do you have to arrest me? Well, the Wang family. The complexities of power in the capital are vast. Your family cannot dominate everything. Who knows, perhaps one day, you too shall find yourself in my position." With anger blazing in his eyes, Fu Dixin felt the sting of betrayal. Today, he was the hunted instead of the hunter. The Xiang family was once his to command, and after tonight's turmoil, he would have complete control over them. Ian was a core member among thousands in Hong Kong, alongside hundreds of thousands abroad. With such support, his future endeavors would be considerably easier. On the surface, the Zheng family possessed immense wealth, while the Xiang family harbored underground influence. The path to power lay clearly before him. Fu Dixin believed he would not remain in the position of director for long. The prospect of ascending to greatness was no longer a mere fantasy. Regrettably, while his plans were meticulously crafted, reality proved harsh. Had it not been for Wang Yu's unexpected appearance, he might have already succeeded. Fate was not on his side. The Xiang family, having encountered Wang Yu, embarked on an entirely different path. Now, Fu found himself in peril. With the intervention of the authorities and the covert backing of the Wang family, Fu Dixin was acutely aware of the transgressions he could not escape scrutiny for. Even if he considered himself exceedingly clever, he was powerless in this moment. Chapter 295 was indeed absurdly foolish. Even if this day were to come, he would not live to witness it. Wang Yu's response to Fu Dixin's words was merely a casual remark. He remained entirely indifferent to Fu Dixin's predatory gaze. It was already predetermined that he would become a prisoner, unable to stir any further turmoil. Despite his struggles and resistance, he was taken by the police to a vehicle, which then sped towards the outskirts of the racecourse. Once inside the car, Fu Dixin gazed out at the vibrant nightlife, gradually ceasing his struggles, a flicker of regret passing through his eyes. By all accounts, a leader of his stature should not have lost composure in front of so many people. However, upon learning of Wang Yu's background, despair engulfed him. The Governor Yun was his direct superior, and now he was intervening on Wang Yu's behalf, alongside several other influential figures in the vehicle, individuals he could only dream of reaching. How had he descended from the lofty heights of success to this abyss? After witnessing Fu Dixin being escorted into the car, Xiao Lin cautiously inquired, "Young Master Wang, how should we handle Director Huang and his son Zheng Xiong?" Inspector Chun was a commendable colleague, well regarded within the police force. After a moment's hesitation, he decided to voice his opinion. "Very well. Ensure that Director Huang is thoroughly investigated. If any wrongdoing is found, he must be dealt with severely. However, should he prove to be a dedicated public servant, do not make things difficult for him." Wang Yu was unconcerned, as he had already stated that this inspector was commendable, which sufficed for him. Director Huang had been given an opportunity. Accompanying Fu Dexin to this location to manage the incident, he had a duty to fulfill both professionally and personally. As long as he had not committed any reprehensible acts, Wang Yu would not impose hardships upon him. But if his hands were not clean, he could not blame Wang Yu. Director Huang, trembling like a quail, dared not utter a word as he watched Fu Director being taken away. He now understood the gravity of his situation. He had offended a powerful figure. He was uncertain how Wang Yu and the others would choose to handle him. Would they consider him a confidant of Fu Director and dispose of him as well? Upon hearing Wang Yu's words, Director Huang exhaled in relief. He indeed had some unsavory dealings that could not withstand scrutiny. Yet, as long as he was not regarded as being aligned with Fu Dexin, he believed he could escape the dire fate that awaited Fu Dexin. Young Master Wang, you are magnanimous. I was once bewitched, assisting Fu Dexin in some foolish deeds, but I was coerced. Director Huang expressed his gratitude fervently. As long as I am aware, I shall speak without concealment. I beseech you to grant me a chance for redemption. Wang Yu raised an eyebrow, his gaze sweeping over the trembling shoulders of Director Huang. Since you are willing to cooperate with the investigation, you may proceed on your own. Very well. I shall go myself, he exclaimed, raising his voice, fearful that a moment's delay would result in forced detention. Under the escort of several officers, he approached a police vehicle, suddenly turning to Wang Yu and bowing deeply. Thank you, young Master Wang, for your mercy. I shall certainly be forthright, leaving no detail unspoken. With that, he willingly took a seat in the back of the police car, sitting upright, as if he were not in a prisoner transport, but rather on his way to fulfill an official duty. Wang Yu could only shake his head in bemusement. It was undeniable that he was a seasoned player, adept at reading the situation. In Hong Kong, he was regarded as a prominent figure, often addressed as brother by those in the underworld. At this moment, the attitude displayed was far from lowly. Inspector Chun stood by, vigilant and smug, having personally delivered numerous criminals to Chai Wan prison. Yet, he remained merely a minor inspector due to his indifference towards the intricacies of officialdom. Many matters eluded his comprehension. It would not be an exaggeration to call him a stubborn fool. Thus, his career had stagnated. Nevertheless, he felt a tinge of gratitude, for had circumstances been different, he might have found himself alongside Fu Dexin and others in a similar predicament. The Zheng father and son observed this scene, their expressions more ghastly than death itself. Who exactly are you? Zheng Jigang, supported by his father Zheng Xiong, gazed at Wang Yu with trepidation. Wang Yu looked down upon him, suddenly letting out a light laugh. What a fool! Even at this juncture, Zheng Jigang remains oblivious to my identity and background. Truly ridiculous. Xiang Zhao, reflecting upon this former adversary, felt a flicker of pity and sighed. Wang Xiao's father is Wang Jiangwo. I need not elaborate on who his grandfather is. Zheng Jigang's pupils constricted violently, and Zheng Xiong's grip tightened in disbelief as he stared at Xiang Zhao. The words struck them like a bolt of lightning, penetrating their minds with clarity. So, it was indeed the Wang family. Zheng Jigang felt a moment of realization, though he was not particularly shocked. With events having escalated to this point, there was no turning back. Instinctively, he was reluctant to accept that Wang Yu was backed by such a formidable entity. The attitude of Xiang Zhao and others towards Wang Yu, along with Yi Zhaoxing's secretive trip to Hong Kong to meet him, and the helicopter squadron that came for him, all echoed in his mind, coupled with Fu Dexin's frantic voice. At this moment, he had no choice but to confront this harsh reality. Wang, the grandson of the esteemed Wang? Zheng Xiong's throat felt constricted, each word a laborious struggle. His voice faltered, and the metallic taste of blood surged within him, prompting a violent cough. Zheng Xiong forced a bitter smile. The elder Wang. Years ago, under the guidance of his elders, he had encountered this kind-hearted old man in a grand hall in the capital. He had been too afraid to meet his gaze, his legs trembling slightly, fully aware of the terror that lay beneath the old man's amiable facade. Yet now, he had unwittingly offended his grandson, nearly costing him his life, plunging him into despair. Wang Yu approached leisurely, hands in pockets, looking down at the prostrate Zheng father and son, and spoke with an indifferent tone. Xiang Zhao, Zheng Jigang has caused you no small amount of trouble over the years. How do you wish to deal with them? A flicker of hatred crossed Xiang Zhao's eyes as he produced a dagger, crouching before Zheng Jigang and brandishing it. All these years you have opposed me. Did you ever foresee this day? Do not be too proud. It is merely your good fortune. Without Wang Yu, it would be you lying here today. Zheng Jigang inhaled deeply, his demeanor resolute. Come what may, I shall face it to the end. Fate, it seems, had conspired against him, and he was outmatched. Though Zheng Xiong shook his head in resignation, reflecting on the bitter irony of their situation, yet a flicker of regret flashed in his eyes. However, he had already sent a message to his family. By now, they must be en route to the cruise. But it is truly unfortunate to witness such a significant loss for such a vast estate. Xiang Zhuo abruptly thrust the dagger towards Zheng Jigang. He slowly closed his eyes. Yet, the anticipated pain did not arrive. He opened his eyes, gazing at the dagger paused before him, and queried, "You? At least you possess a modicum of spirit." Xiang Zhuo observed the lingering ferocity in Zheng Jigang's gaze and suddenly grinned. The dagger was flipped and put away. After years of rivalry, he was not a coward. Xiang Zhuo turned to Wang Yu, casually touching his nose, and remarked, "I find this young man rather commendable. His family holds considerable assets. Perhaps it would be prudent to utilize him. What do you think?" Chapter 296, Release the Tiger. Endless future troubles, Zheng Jigang and Zheng Xiong could not help but display a hint of delight at Xiang Zhuo's words. Who wishes for death when life is an option? Moreover, now that they were aware of Wang Yu's terrifying background, they would eagerly pledge their loyalty to him. There was no thought of refusal. However, they noticed that the previously cheerful expression on Wang Yu's face suddenly darkened as he fixed his gaze upon them. Zheng Jigang and Zheng Xiong felt a sudden chill in their hearts. Was this a sign of discontent with Xiang Zhuo's proposal? With gritted teeth, Zheng Jigang moved his still painful legs, disregarding the agony, and declared, "Wang Xiao, the jewelry business of the Zheng family is globally recognized. Furthermore, my father has shared drinks with your father. On account of this goodwill, I implore you to show mercy. If you spare us, the Zheng family will follow you faithfully henceforth." A hint of a smile appeared on Wang Yu's face, his lips curling upwards. He paid little heed to Zheng Jigang's mention of familial ties. Setting aside his grandfather, even someone of Wang Jiangwo's stature dined with countless individuals throughout the year. If every meal and drink were to be counted as a favor, it would be absurd. Nonetheless, he appreciated Zheng Jigang's opportunistic nature, adept at seizing every chance to preserve himself, an astute character. "Your son claims you dined with my father?" Wang Yu's smile vanished, his gaze turning icy as it swept over Zheng Xiong. Indeed, Zheng Xiong's face turned a shade of embarrassment. To mention such trivial matters to the son of Wang Jiangwo, merely to save his own life, felt humiliating. He could only imagine the laughter of the old-timers if they were to learn of this. At this juncture, survival took precedence, and he had no choice but to swallow his pride. "Loyalty?" Wang Yu slowly shook his head, stating, "Based solely on you?" Zheng Xiong hastily interjected, "Wang Xiao, if you are willing to spare the Zheng family, I swear on my position as the head of the family to serve you loyally." Clenching his teeth, he continued, "Moreover, the Zheng family will allocate half of our profits to the Wang family each year. Should you have any directives, I will go through fire and water to ensure they are fulfilled." "Half of the annual profits?" Wang Yu's gaze fell upon Zheng Xiong's trembling hand as he suddenly chuckled lightly. Such audacity, to be willing to relinquish so much wealth for self-preservation. Uncertain whether this half of the profits exceeds 100 billion, the prospect certainly sounds enticing. Zheng Jigang and Zheng Xiong gazed expectantly at the contemplative Wang Yu, awaiting his response with palpable anxiety, wishing fervently for his immediate acquiescence. Wang Yu activated his true vision, directing his gaze towards the two men, their information materializing before him in an instant. Name, Zheng Xiong. Age, 65. Height, 167 centimeters. Charm, 60. Physique, 56. Favorability, 72. Name, Zheng Jigang. Age, 35. Height, 175 centimeters. Charm, 81. Physique, 89. Favorability, 85. Upon observing Zheng Jigang's favorability rating, Wang Yu felt a flicker of surprise. He had initially intended to ascertain whether Zheng Jigang's submission was sincere or merely a strategic maneuver. Should there be any discrepancy between his words and actions, even a modicum of utility from the Zheng family would not shield them from his wrath. One must always be wary of releasing a tiger back into the mountains, for the consequences could be dire. However, with Zheng Xiong's favorability at 72 and Zheng Jigang's at an impressive 85, Wang Yu felt a sense of assurance. Otherwise, he would have hesitated to accept their allegiance, mindful of the historical betrayals that often transpired within such dynamics. After a brief moment, Wang Yu gradually nodded and spoke, "Given your potential utility, I shall spare your lives." As his words fell, Zheng Xiong finally exhaled in relief. Zheng Jigang, overwhelmed, prostrated himself with a resounding thud against the ground, exclaiming, "Thank you, young Master Wang, for your clemency. Once I have recovered, I shall come to see you in the Magic City." When he lifted his head, a trickle of blood marked his forehead, yet he remained oblivious, his eyes only reflecting sheer elation. "Let's speak of your recovery first," Wang Yu remarked. "Thank you, young Master Wang, thank you," they chorused. "Remember, now that you have pledged your loyalty to the Wang family, you must understand the nuances of your duties, what is appropriate and what is not. The consequences of ignorance will be yours to bear." "Yes, yes," Zheng Jigang and his son reiterated earnestly, taking his admonition to heart. "Depart with your men. Do not linger here and become an eyesore." Zheng Xiong ventured, "May I have your contact information, young master, for future correspondence?" Wang Yu provided him with the phone number of his family steward and waved his hand dismissively. Gratitude radiated from Zheng Xiong and Zheng Jigang as they untied their subordinates nearby, supporting each other as they left in a state of disarray. Yet, there was no trace of anger or regret in their eyes, only surprise and exhilaration. They had anticipated that following this night, the Zheng family would irrevocably lose its foothold in the Huagua market, destined for overseas exile. They believed they would either perish at the hands of the Xiong family or languish in prison for the remainder of their days. To their astonishment, Wang Yu accepted their loyalty, prompting Zheng Xiong to reflect deeply as he retrieved his phone to send a message to the family. There was no need to flee, especially now that they had aligned themselves with the formidable Wang family, who could stand in their way in future endeavors within Huagua. Upon exiting the racecourse and gazing at the bustling streets of Hong Kong, illuminated by the vibrant glow of neon lights, Zheng Jigang could not help but burst into a hearty laugh, feeling as though the world had opened up before him. Lin Yichen observed that Wang Yu had nearly finished handling matters and approached Inspector Chun, instructing, "Send some personnel to tidy up the venue." "Yes, we will ensure the task is completed." Inspector Chen immediately understood the implication of his words. The venue of the racecourse was now devoid of attendees, leaving only the bodyguards accompanying Xiang Huqiang and several hundred of his colleagues. However, despite Zheng Jigang's numerous subordinates, only a handful remained. The ground was strewn with corpses, haphazardly arranged from the entrance to the building and up to the private boxes. It was a scene of utter devastation, a veritable hell on earth. Inspector Chun felt a wave of bewilderment wash over him. With so many bodies to clear, it would take considerable time, and thankfully, he had brought a substantial number of personnel. Otherwise, they would not have finished by dawn. He directed several sergeants to take dozens of men to handle the grim task. The sergeant whose name was called instantly wore a dejected expression, reluctantly leading his men to deal with the carnage of bodies and blood. Fortunately, they were all professionally trained. Handling such situations was, for them, quite straightforward. Wang Yu watched as these professionals executed their duties with remarkable efficiency, astonished by their composure in such a grim scene, an environment that would overwhelm any ordinary person. Yet they remained unfazed, retrieving body bags from the police vehicles. At this pace, it seemed the racecourse event could proceed as scheduled the following night, ensuring no loss of revenue. "Commissioner Yun and several leaders are waiting in the car for you," whispered Xiao Lin, standing beside Wang Yu. Wang Yu lifted his gaze towards the dark-tinted windows of the elongated limousine. It was obscured from view. As he noted that affairs were nearly concluded, he stepped toward the black stretch limousine. These gentlemen had rendered him significant assistance. Though their presence was partly due to familial ties, it was only proper that he exchange pleasantries with them. Chapter 297. No tall trees grow in a greenhouse. These elder statesmen were quite adept at maintaining their stature. Despite having arrived some time ago, they remained seated in the car, awaiting his approach. Wang Yu felt no anger nor perceived their actions as an attempt to put him on display. After all, while the situation was serious, involving the loss of over 100 lives, it was a notably grave incident. He was confident in his safety and unafraid of others overreacting. Even if someone became aware of the situation, they would not dare target him. However, their circumstances were different. The harsh realities of the political arena are unfathomable to most, especially for those who have not reached the highest echelons. Who does not tread carefully? Secretary Xiao Lin stepped forward to open the car door for Wang Yu. Once Wang Yu entered, Xiao Lin promptly closed the door and stood upright beside it, guarding it steadfastly. In the distance, Inspector Chun directed his subordinates in clearing the venue. Naturally, most personnel remained vigilantly near the vehicle, unwilling to stray, fearing any potential mishap. At that moment, Xiang Junling noticed He Zhaoxin's complexion had turned pale. She approached with concern, asking, "Zhaoxin, what is the matter? Are you feeling unwell?" He Chao Xin suppressed the urge to vomit. Clutching her stomach as dry heaves racked her body, and the acrid taste of bile surged in her throat. She bit down fiercely on her lower lip, her nails digging painfully into her palm, while her peripheral vision caught the police diligently clearing away the bodies. A wave of nausea washed over her anew. Her stomach convulsed violently, prompting her to abruptly turn away from the scene, beads of sweat forming on her lashes. Xiang Junling offered to help her into the car for some rest, but she raised a hand in refusal. "I just need to stand here for a moment," He Chao Xian managed to say, taking a breath to steady herself. Initially captivated by the chaos of the scene and Wang Yu's striking presence, she had been oblivious to the bodies laid out in the shadows. Now, confronted with the grim reality, she felt faint. Xiang Junling gently patted her back, unable to suppress a chuckle. Her carefree demeanor had led him to believe she was unafraid, only to discover she had simply not seen the horrors around her. "Xiao Xin, are you really all right? Your complexion is alarmingly pale." "I'm really fine, just a bit dizzy," He Chao Xian replied, forcing a smile that lacked conviction. What she felt was not mere dizziness. It was a profound fear of the brutal scene before her. "Don't be afraid. It's all over now," Xiang Junling consoled her, wrapping his arms around her tightly. Witnessing her distress, Xiang Zhuo instructed a bodyguard to fetch some cold drinks from the back kitchen of the racecourse and brought over a few chairs. After taking a sip of the chilled juice, He Chao Xian finally began to feel somewhat better, though her face still bore a look of distress. Xiang Hua Chang shook his head in exasperation, recognizing his oversight. The young girl had always harbored a fear of such sights. Being the daughter of the He family did not exempt her from this. After all, the upbringing of sons and daughters often diverged significantly. Under Xiang Hua Chang's direction, a line of bodyguards formed to create a barrier around the area within the venue. As Wang Yu entered the car, he was met with the smiling faces of 3 elderly gentlemen, each appearing to be in their 50s, dressed casually, yet exuding an air of authority. The vehicle was evidently a custom model, its understated yet luxurious interior adorned with 3 parallel touch screens displaying real-time surveillance from the racecourse. Wang Yu understood that these gentlemen were fully aware of the unfolding situation outside. "I am Yun Jian. I believe you are familiar with me." The elder named Yun Jian began, turning to Wang Yu with a warm smile. "Greetings, Officer Yun," Wang Yu responded courteously, taking a seat in an empty chair and shaking his hand. Yun Jian gestured toward a robust, middle-aged man on his left, introducing him. "This is Commander Chen Zhengde, a distinguished leader in the war zone." Commander Chen nodded slightly, his gaze piercing, despite the simplicity of his gesture. It conveyed a steadiness and confidence born from years of battle. Yun Jian then indicated the elderly man on his right, saying, "This is Luo Guoxian." Luo Guoxian extended his hand with a smile, saying, "You are quite impressive, young man. It's a pleasure to finally meet you in person." In critical moments, it takes courage to step up and shoulder responsibility, qualities essential for great achievements. "Not at all. It is thanks to the support of esteemed elders like you that I possess such confidence," Wang Yu humbly replied. Wang Yu scratched his head modestly and spoke. Chen Jingde observed Wang Yu with a penetrating gaze that conveyed both scrutiny and a touch of admiration, and remarked, "We all witnessed your performance today. It was both bold and strategic, so there is no need for humility." The more he regarded Wang Yu, the more he found himself fond of him. If only his own reckless sons possessed even a fraction of Wang Yu's qualities, he would be greatly reassured. Luo Guoxian then interjected, sitting upright in his chair, his demeanor warm yet sharp. "Courage and strategy are one thing, but what is truly commendable, young Wang, is your composure in the face of adversity. That is worthy of praise." The words of old Luo were not unfounded. Wang Yu's ability to adapt on the spot today even earned my respect. Suddenly, he played a segment of video footage showcasing Wang Yu's earlier performance in the private room. Pointing at the video, a satisfied smile graced Luo Guoxian's face. "Young Wang. To maintain such calm amidst a complex situation is no small feat." He gently patted Wang Yu's shoulder, his eyes brimming with admiration. Wang Yu, feeling somewhat bashful, chuckled softly. "Old Luo, you flatter me." I was indeed quite nervous at that moment, but I kept reminding myself to remain composed and handle the situation well. "Nervousness is only natural," Chen Jingde chimed in with a smile, "yet the ability to retain clarity of thought and make sound judgments under pressure is a true skill." He raised his teacup, taking a delicate sip, and continued, "Today, you have truly opened our eyes. The Wang family has a promising successor. Do not blame us for arriving late," the official Yun interjected, casting a contemplative glance at Wang Yu. "One cannot help but admire the old master. His methods of nurturing his successors are indeed unique." Does he not fear unforeseen circumstances? After all, Wang family has but one male heir in this generation. What if something were to go awry? The repercussions for the entire Huagua could be monumental. The old master's words were clear. The heirs of the Wang family must witness bloodshed. A greenhouse cannot cultivate towering trees. Wang Yu nodded in understanding, knowing full well that the late arrival of reinforcements was undoubtedly orchestrated by the old master himself. In such a confined space, it was inconceivable for them to arrive so late. Nonetheless, Wang Yu couldn't help but critique the old master's arrangements. If it weren't for his enhanced physical abilities, the outcome for anyone else could have been uncertain. Did he not worry for the safety of his precious grandson? Truly, what a mischievous old man. Chapter 298. Misplaced affections. Chen Jingde seemed to perceive Wang Yu's inner thoughts. He continued, his expression serious yet tinged with pride. Rest assured, during the conflict, the skies were filled with helicopters. A special forces unit was deployed. The military's finest marksmen had their sights trained on anyone who could pose a threat to you. At the slightest sign of trouble, those with ill intentions would be swiftly neutralized. He paused slightly, gazing deeply into Wang Yu's eyes. From the moment your father received the information to the old master's directives, every one of your movements has been under our vigilant control. In matters of security, we shall undoubtedly not exhibit the slightest negligence. This is also the directive of the esteemed elder, ensuring that while you gain experience, you are shielded from genuine peril. Yuan Jian added, for this arrangement, even satellites have been deployed to guarantee absolute safety. He glanced at the surveillance footage within the vehicle, where bodyguards were still clearing the chaotic scene in the venue. Today's events were meticulously orchestrated, including the appearance of Fu Dexin, which was well within our anticipated parameters. We merely sought to assess your ability to respond in a crisis. It has been proven that you performed remarkably well, not only adeptly managing the unexpected situation, but also exhibiting a composure that far exceeds your years. Luo Guoxian smiled at Wang Yu, his eyes brimming with expectation. After this experience, I believe you will be quite satisfied and pleased. Wang Yu felt a surge of emotion. He had initially thought he was fighting this battle alone, unaware of the formidable support behind him. So that was it. He had presumed that the elder was truly indifferent to his safety, not a hint of concern. It turned out he had overthought it. He expressed his gratitude to the leaders present, sitting up straight and speaking with conviction. Yuan Jian waved his hand dismissively. There is no need for such formality. In a way, we are also your elders. Feel free to approach us anytime. After conversing with the elders for a while, Wang Yu exited the vehicle and waved goodbye. Young Master Wang, we shall take our leave now. Xiao Lin smiled at him as he opened the passenger door and settled in. Soon, the car departed smoothly, followed by several black sedans. Wang Yu stood rooted in place, watching the black vehicles vanish around the corner, only turning back once the sound of their engines faded. He was momentarily taken aback by the wall of people that remained. What's going on here? He inquired. Zhao Xing might be feeling a bit unwell. It's understandable for a girl. Xiang Yu shrugged nonchalantly in response. Wang Yu turned to find Zhao Xing seated, sipping from a bottle of beverage. Her complexion somewhat pale. Is she unwell? Approaching her, he noticed the drink she held was emitting cold vapor. Wang Yu's brow furrowed deeply as he shot a glare at Xiang Yu. You let Zhao Xing drink this while she is feeling ill? What is wrong with that? Xiang Yu replied, utterly bewildered. Zhao Xing looked at Wang Yu with innocent confusion, instinctively taking another sip from her drink. Wang Yu remained silent, reaching out to snatch the icy cola from her grasp and tossing it to the ground. The metallic sound of the bottle hitting the floor jolted Zhao Xing from her reverie, and she pouted, swatting at Wang Yu. What are you doing? I still want to drink that. Wang Yu stepped back, speaking calmly. You shouldn't have ice cola during your menstrual period. Now that the situation is resolved, you should go home and rest properly. Zhao Xing froze momentarily, her ears visibly reddening. Who told you I was on my period? Wang Yu looked puzzled. Her finger hovered in the air, caught between striking and withdrawing, the blush creeping down her neck and her collar. I say, Wang Dasha, could you not be so oblivious? Xiang Junling, unbeknownst to him, sidled up to Wang Yu, her fingers adorned with vibrant crimson polish, unceremoniously prodding his shoulder. She gestured towards the police, her expression revealing disdain as she glanced at He Xiaoxin, who appeared repulsed by the lifeless bodies strewn about, dismissing her discomfort as mere menstrual woes. Wang Yu found himself momentarily taken aback, oblivious to such rudimentary inquiries. A wave of embarrassment washed over him as he stammered, I apologize. He Xiaoxin's ears, previously tinged with color, now burned with a deeper hue of mortification and ire as she shot Wang Yu an indignant glare. Now that everything has been resolved, Shall we return home? Wang Yu rubbed his nose in an attempt to mask his awkwardness. Meanwhile, Xiang Zhao struggled to suppress laughter, her shoulders trembling as she whipped out her phone to capture the moment. This scene must be preserved. Wang Yu, the illustrious new male idol of the internet, showing concern for beauty during her time of the month. What an utterly oblivious display. Provoked by Xiang Zhao's words, He Xiaoxin abruptly rose, only to stumble in her high heels. She lurched forward, and instinctively, Wang Yu reached out to grasp her waist, a faint, floral fragrance enveloping him, mingling with the sensation of her heart racing in embarrassment. Let go of me, He Xiaoxin protested, struggling to retreat, but was firmly held by Wang Yu's grip on her wrist. He noticed her awkward stance and furrowed his brow. Did you twist your ankle? Without waiting for her response, Wang Yu instinctively lifted her into his arms, his touch gentle yet unwavering. He Xiaoxin gasped, encircling his neck, her face nearly brushing against his chest. Wang Yu, she exclaimed, her cheeks aflame as she caught sight of Xiang Junling and Xiang Yu's mischievous grins. Put me down. I can walk on my own. Wang Yu raised an eyebrow at the flustered girl in his embrace, questioning her capability. I insist, let me down, I'm fine. Very well. He Xiaoxin, blushing profusely, steadied herself, casting her gaze downward, unable to meet Wang Yu's eyes. I must say, you youngsters, Xiang Tai interjected, clearing her throat deliberately. Her tone elongated as her gaze assessed the pair. If you wish to flaunt your affection, do so in the privacy of your own home. It is quite a sight to behold. Let us depart. Further discussion may lead to Xiaoxin's embarrassment, Xiang Tai and Xiang Junling teased. Deeply bashful, He Xiaoxin averted her gaze from Wang Yu, hastily making her way towards the vehicle, her high heels clicking rapidly on the pavement. Observing this, Wang Yu silently mused. She truly did not twist her ankle. He shook his head, a helpless smile gracing his lips, realizing he had misinterpreted the situation. Wang Yu, along with Xiang Zhao and Xiang Yu, settled into a luxurious Maybach as the driver ignited the engine. The vehicle rumbled to life, swiftly gliding away from the racecourse. As they emerged onto the bustling streets near midnight, the distant neon signs flickered with a kaleidoscope of colors, illuminating the night sky with vibrant hues. The streets of Hong Kong remained teeming with life, bustling with energy as shops continued to operate, and food stalls bustled with eager patrons. The air thick with tantalizing aromas amidst the lively atmosphere. The roads were a constant stream of vehicles, showcasing the iconic double-decker buses that characterize Hong Kong. In the midnight streets of Hong Kong, the vibrancy never wanes, and the liveliness remains as it always has been. Chapter 299. He Dares Not Gamble. On the way back, Wang Yu's vehicle diverted towards Mary Hospital. Under Xiang Zhao's instructions, Lung Feng was placed in the finest private care room, costing 20,000 Hong Kong dollars per day, equipped with a professional nursing team and a comfortable ward. The room boasted an independent bathroom, a sofa, a wardrobe, and other amenities. From the window, one could behold a breathtaking sea view, and the soothing sound of the waves greatly lifted one's spirits, ensuring a sweet slumber. A conducive environment significantly aids in a patient's recovery. Xiang Zhao and Xiang Yu went to visit the brothers who had accompanied Lung Feng, while Wang Yu proceeded to Lung Feng's ward. Young Master Wang, what brings you here? Upon entering, Lung Feng, with his keen eyes, spotted Wang Yu and was filled with joy. I've almost finished handling everything and thought I would come to see you. How are you doing? Is everything all right? Wang Yu inquired, observing the myriad of bandages enveloping Lung Feng's body with concern. As long as you are well, that's good. I am tough. A couple of days of rest will suffice, Lung Feng replied, albeit with a hint of embarrassment. You still need to go to Macau. I cannot accompany you. Perhaps we should contact some brothers to come to Hong Kong overnight to ensure your safety. I worry about you going to Macau alone. Wang Yu shook his head, smiling. In light of this incident, they will surely be well prepared on that side. You need not worry. Focus on recuperating. Despite the pain, Lung Feng attempted to sit up, but Wang Yu gently pressed down on his shoulder, preventing him from rising. You are injured all over. Do not overexert yourself. Your health is paramount. The effort strained his wounds, causing beads of sweat to appear on Lung Feng's forehead. Yet, he seemed oblivious to the pain, gazing at Wang Yu with a joyful expression, his eyes brimming with tears. Few employers in this world would show such concern for their subordinates, and Lung Feng felt he could never repay Wang Yu's kindness. He could only hope for a swift recovery to once again stand by his side and serve him. Stop this, or I shall take my leave, Wang Yu chuckled, scolding lightly. You appear to be in good condition. I will arrange for someone to send you back to the magical city tomorrow. Wang Yu took a seat on a nearby stool. Where's your hometown? I shall grant you a few months off to spend time with your wife and children. My hometown is in Shandong province. The thought of being unable to do anything and merely being a burden to Wang Yu stirred something within Lung Feng. It would be nice to return home to spend time with family. They were still unaware of his severe injuries. If they found out, he could only imagine how distraught his wife would be. This realization brought a pang of sorrow to Lung Feng's heart, as he felt guilty towards his family. It was only after following Wang Yu that he had earned a considerable amount of money. Otherwise, he would have been away for long periods, unable to be with his family, depriving them of a decent life. Wang Yu urged him to rest well, repeatedly emphasizing that he need not rush back to work. Noticing the late hour, he decided not to disturb Lung Feng's rest. Upon returning to the vehicle, after waiting for Xiang Zhao and Xiang Yu to emerge, the Maybach smoothly drove off into the distance. Wang Yu, feeling too lazy to seek a hotel, accompanied Xiang Zhao back to his residence. The villa was ablaze with lights. In the living room, Xiang Tai, Xiang Junling, and others awaited the anticipated arrival of He Zhaoxin. Xiang Tai had long instructed the butler to prepare a late-night feast. The table was laden with an array of delicacies, snacks, and noodles. Xiang Tai and Xiang Huaqiang beckoned the children to take their seats at the dining table. Wang Yu, feeling no need for formality after a long night, joined them with enthusiasm. The atmosphere was lively as Xiang Zhua and Xiang Yu indulged without concern for their manners, even requesting the butler to serve several plates of grilled steak and skewers. He Zhaoxin and Xiang Junling exchanged light laughter, savoring their meals with dainty bites. Once their appetites were satisfied, He Zhaoxin and Xiang Junling engaged in animated conversation, playfully retreating to her room. Meanwhile, Xiang Huaqiang, Xiang Zhua, and Wang Yu settled onto the sofa. After pouring tea for the group, Xiang Tai, appearing weary, excused himself, opting to retire for the night as the clock approached 2 in the morning. Xiang Zhua poured tea for his father and Wang Yu, then served himself a cup, eliciting an eye roll from Xiang Yu, who scoffed at his childishness. Xiang Huaqiang, noticing the immaturity of his children, wore an expression of disapproval, casting them several stern glances. Despite being in their 30s, Xiang Zhua and Xiang Yu displayed a carefree demeanor, raising concerns about their capability to manage the family business. In stark contrast stood Wang Yu, merely 20, yet possessing the wisdom and poise of someone much older, highlighting the significant disparity in maturity among them. With a resigned shake of his head and a sigh, Xiang Huaqiang mused that if these two young men possessed even a fraction of Wang Yu's acumen, he would feel confident in trusting the company to them a century hence. For now, he resolved to guide them more firmly. Turning his attention back to Wang Yu, Xiang Huaqiang proposed, "Young Master Wang, the Xiang family is willing to share half of the profits with you. What do you think?" He noted that the Zheng family had offered half their profits merely to preserve their existence. While the Zheng family could not be compared to the Xiang family, Xiang Huaqiang understood the importance of maintaining a certain posture. Regardless of Wang Yu's response, he felt it necessary to extend the offer, as the backing of the Wang family could significantly bolster their company's prospects. Perhaps, offering half the profits could yield greater returns than their current arrangement. Wang Yu took a sip of the fragrant tea, gazing at Xiang Huaqiang with a gentle smile. "Uncle Xiang, you jest. The Xiang family's standing in Hong Kong is attributed to your formidable strategies. The Wang family can only provide limited support. Moreover, my brother Xiang Zhua and I share a bond, and discussing such matters risks straining our relationship." A smile crept onto Xiang Huaqiang's face. He recognized Wang Yu's humility, but appreciated his words nonetheless. "I understand your sentiment," he replied, giving Wang Yu a reassuring pat on the shoulder. "However, what is due must still be given, lest Zhang Xiong mock me." After a moment of contemplation, Wang Yu slowly responded, "In that case, let it be 30%. Otherwise, I shall accept nothing at all." "Ha! Excellent, splendid." Xiang Huaqiang burst in a hearty laughter. "What about the Ian Society? Speaking of which, my brother Xiang Huasheng is responsible for most affairs of the Ian Society and has been overseas for many years. If necessary, I can summon him back immediately." "No need." Wang Yu waved his hand in refusal. "The Ian Society will remain as it has always been. I know nothing about associations. It is best left in your capable hands. There will be many future needs for the Ian Society, but let us maintain the status quo domestically." Xiang Huaqiang's expression shifted slightly, and his hand holding the teacup paused momentarily. Did Wang Yu harbor other intentions? He regarded Wang Yu with intrigue. It was difficult to discern his true thoughts. Typically, someone like Wang Yu, a second-generation heir, would look down upon an organization like the Ian Society. Yet, Wang Yu's demeanor suggested there might be other plans afoot. "What if it were I?" When you continued, the Ian Society could be bolder overseas. We could expand the disciples considerably. He paused before elaborating. Uncle Xiang, what do you think someone like me lacks the most? Wang Yu lifted his teacup, observing the tea leaves swirling gracefully within, and suddenly chuckled lightly. He gazed out the window. The bustling streets of Hong Kong were alive with the glow of neon lights, casting colorful reflections on glass. It is not about wealth or women, he tapped his fingers gently on the table, but rather the profound power that brings true peace of mind. Xiang Huaqiang's grip on the teacup tightened, his pupils dilating in astonishment. His heart surged like a tumultuous sea. He recognized that this young man was far from ordinary. He was not merely interested in the Ian Society. What, then, constituted the power that brings peace of mind? It could only be firearms and manpower. Was Wang Yu contemplating the formation of his own armed force overseas? Upon deeper reflection, Xiang Huaqiang deemed it feasible. The Ian Society had long operated within the gray areas, possessing both personnel and resources. As long as funds were adequate, assembling an armed unit would not be insurmountable. However, he was concerned that Wang Yu's ambitions were more complex than they appeared. Did he intend to target smaller nations, or was he simply mad? This was the 21st century. With the United Nations in place, pursuing such endeavors would not be straightforward. If relationships were not properly managed, one could find themselves silenced amidst the tumult of public opinion, especially concerning the United States and its neighbor, Russia. Historically, they regarded the world as their own garden, willing to engage in any endeavor for profit. Nevertheless, upon careful consideration, given the Wang family's connections, it might indeed be possible. Xiang Zhua and Xiang Yu were often seen as frivolous, but that did not imply ignorance. On the contrary, they were quite astute. Anyone who underestimated their intelligence would be gravely mistaken. Upon hearing Wang Yu's words, they instantly understood. He deemed the Ian Society's influence too limited and sought to instigate change. The two felt a surge of excitement, their faces flushed. Throughout history, the phrase entrusted by heaven, "May we thrive eternally," resonated deeply within them. How many heroes and valiant figures have shed their blood merely to occupy that exalted position? Since the unification of the 9 provinces by the first emperor, countless ambitious leaders have clashed in a frenzy of bloodshed. Land. It is a yearning deeply etched in the veins of the descendants of Yin and Huang. In today's prosperous society, where the nation flourishes and the people thrive, the majority choose to savor their modest lives, living in comfort. The struggle for supremacy seems like a tale from ancient times, a distant memory. Yet given the opportunity, which man could resist such temptation? To be conferred titles and appointed as generals. A true man, born in chaotic times, should wield a 3-foot-long sword to achieve unparalleled feats. A millennium ago, when Chen Sheng and Wu Guang proclaimed, "Do kings and nobles not possess the same essence? Who has not dreamt of such aspirations? What for oneself? Why could not be oneself? The world is vast, with ample space for ambition to flourish. Across the ocean lie abundant lands, resources, and populations. As long as one possesses the capability and ambition, what is there to fear in achieving greatness? While there may be individuals in Yian society, they lack a robust support system and the necessary talents and resources. However, if the Wang family is willing, these obstacles are trivial. They possess wealth and manpower plenty. The two brothers are eager to pledge their loyalty. They too wish to stir the winds of change across the realm. Once Wang Yu speaks, they would be inclined to set sail immediately. As Xiang Zhua contemplated this, he gazed fervently at Wang Yu, his fists clenched tightly, and his mind began to wander to which territory would be most advantageous. Should they venture to Africa, or perhaps Australia, or stir trouble in the Middle East? Wang Yu, merely observing their expressions, discerned their thoughts. He gently blew on his teacup, cleared his throat leisurely, and remarked, "I have ample funds here. Let us transfer 100 billion to Yian Society's account. If further development is needed later, we shall provide more. We must acquire weapons and train personnel. I seek the elite. I have no interest in the mediocre. Disperse the forces." He continued, "I want the presence of Yian Society felt in every corner of the world." Xiang Huaqing swallowed hard, his fingertips unconsciously rubbing the teacup. Suddenly, he chuckled softly. 100 billion for firearms and artillery? Are you intending to transform Yian Society into a private mercenary army? Wang Yu set down his teacup, the porcelain clinking against the wooden table with a clear sound. He shook his head, smiling. On the surface, we shall continue as before. Everything will remain unchanged. We only need a few of our own forces in the chaotic regions of the world. In an instant, Xiang Huaqing understood Wang Yu's intention and breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he did not desire to challenge the world order, all would be well. Otherwise, his fragile heart could scarcely endure. What if we aim for something grander? Xiang Yu suggested tentatively. What do you think about amassing more armed forces? I find the land in Australia appealing, abundant in mineral resources, with a sparse population. Should we not try to seize it? Slap. Xiang Huaqing swiftly struck his head. Xiang Yu, clutching his head, exclaimed, "Why did you hit me? Seize Australia? Why not the moon instead? It was such an arduous effort just to capture a few docks. And you wish to take on Australia?" Xiang Huaqing, exasperated, struck his head once more. How could he have such a son without considering the immense obstacles in this matter? Regardless of whether Wang Yu harbored such intentions, a gradual approach is presently the most prudent strategy. Everything shall be addressed once sufficient strength is amassed. Xiang Zhao stifled laughter, his shoulders trembling, until he was suddenly met with a fierce glare from Xiang Huaqiang. "And you, don't think I'm unaware of the firearms and ammunition you've stockpiled at home. You're a troublesome character." A wave of panic washed over Xiang Zhao. How did his father know he had procured some toys through others? To prevent Xiang Huaqiang from discovering this, he had claimed to be occupied with trivial pursuits, avoiding familial connections, relying instead on friends' recommendations elsewhere. He had believed his ruse was flawless, that no one was the wiser. Wang Yu leisurely sipped from his teacup, observing the chaotic antics of the Xiang brothers, a smirk creeping upon his lips. "Remember," Xiang Huaqiang said with exasperation, "this is not the last century. Satellites in the sky can clearly capture what color underwear you're wearing today." Wang Yu added, "Having a bit of power in hand is sufficient, merely as a precaution. To instigate any trouble, one must be clad in a suit and tie." "A suit?" Xiang Zhao pondered, stroking his chin thoughtfully. Yet, donning a suit would not enable him to accomplish his desires. The flicker of ambition within him extinguished. He shook his head and sighed. Wang Yu, disinterested in further discourse with these two dreamers, retrieved his phone and sent a message to Long Lily, instructing her to transfer funds into the relevant account of the Ian Association. Soon, a notification chimed on his phone. The system's alert followed suit. Ding. The system has detected that the host has spent 10 billion. Double cashback of 20 billion is granted. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have earned 1 million system points. Chapter 301. Go all in within the guest room of the Xiang family villa. Wang Yu, after finishing a shower, donned a bathrobe and settled into a recliner, centering himself before mentally calling out. System, open the personal information panel. Ding. Host, your personal information panel is now open. Host, Wang Yu, age, 20, height, 188 centimeters, charm, 120, the normal human limit is 100, physique, 120, the normal human limit is 100, stamina, 120, the normal human limit is 100, attributes, double cashback, effect, all reasonable expenditures will be returned double, limitless physique, effect. From this moment forth, you are the pinnacle of human physicality. Stabilization, effect. Your physical condition will remain in its peak state at all times. Eye of truth, effect. The mysterious power that opens the door to truth. All disguises shall be laid bare under its gaze. Soul of the machine, effect. Succubus in the world, effect. King of games, effect. Basketball star, effect. Master of memory, effect. Gourmet, effect. Master of time management, effect. Points, 2 for 163, 831. Wang Yu gazed in awe at the lengthy string of points displayed on the system panel. The high-level roulette required 10,000 points for a single spin. After a lengthy accumulation, he now possessed 2,460,000 points, a result of not deliberately spending. Were he to indulge in expenditure, his points would be virtually limitless. This evening, they had encountered trouble when Zheng Jigang and his followers sought confrontation, with hundreds against a mere dozen. Thankfully, his brothers fought valiantly to protect him. Although there were arrangements at home, with special forces discreetly safeguarding him, the pervasive sense of insecurity left Wang Yu trembling with fear. Those aware of his identity lacked the audacity to confront him, yet there were always a few who were oblivious to the consequences. Despite possessing limit-breaking attributes, Wang Yu remained a mere mortal. A bullet could easily spell his demise. In any case, it was paramount that he possessed the ability to safeguard himself. He resolved to expend all his points that night, engaging in a complete lottery with his 2 million plus points, hoping to acquire commendable attributes. Wang Yu had modest aspirations. He did not yearn for a double cashback attribute again. He merely sought to obtain a trait that would enable him to preserve his life against the threat of firearms. one that would instill fearlessness in the face of ordinary weaponry. Wang Yu scoured the system panel and located the points record in the system log. Since acquiring the system after his rebirth, he had amassed a total of 331 points. He was still 6 million points shy of system upgrade, approximately 600 billion Huaxia coins. He initiated the high-level roulette lottery. Instantly, a dazzling golden radiance enveloped his vision, spreading wildly like boiling water. As the brilliance diminished, it coalesced before Wang Yu into an ancient and mysterious spinning roulette, exuding an indescribable aura that gradually calmed his exhilarated heart. System. Wager all 2 million plus points. Ding. 2,460,000 points have been deducted. The system has commenced the lottery. The golden roulette began to spin, accelerating rapidly. Suddenly, it erupted with a resonant chime, and the points dwindled at a visible pace. Abruptly, Wang Yu's pupils contracted as mysterious runes appeared on the surface of the roulette, while a phantom colossal hand emerged behind it, reaching into the obscured void. Ding! Congratulations, host! You have obtained 1,060,000,000 Huaxia coins. Ding! Thank you for your patronage. Ding! Congratulations, host! You have received a loyalty card. Ding! Thank you for your patronage. Ding! Thank you for your patronage. Ding! Congratulations, host! You have acquired the attribute of rapid self-healing. Ding! Thank you for your patronage. Ding! Congratulations, host! You have won a luxurious villa in Hong Kong's Repulse Bay. Ding! Congratulations, host! You have garnered 880 million Huaxia coins. Ding! Congratulations, host! You have won a luxurious villa in Hong Kong's Deepwater Bay. Ding! Thank you for your patronage. Ding! Congratulations, host! You have obtained the attribute of X-ray vision. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring the entry absolute barrier. Firearm nullification. Thank you for your patronage. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the entry underwater breathing. Congratulations to the host for securing the entry Spicy King. Congratulations to the host for receiving 188 billion Huaxia coins. Congratulations to the host for acquiring a card for entry upgrades. Congratulations to the host for receiving 680 million Huaxia coins. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 129 billion Huaxia coins. Congratulations to the host for securing 284 billion Huaxia coins. As the roulette wheel came to a halt, an array of entries and items materialized before him. Wang Yu was elated, indifferent to the wealth and villa acquired from this lottery. His gaze was firmly fixed on the entries, brimming with excitement. Rapid self-healing. Entry effect. Your wounds will heal at 3 times the speed of an ordinary person. X-ray vision. Entry effect. Ordinary objects shall not obstruct your line of sight. Absolute barrier. Firearm nullification. Entry effect. No firearm shall inflict harm upon you. Underwater breathing. Entry effect. You will receive the blessing of the ocean, moving through water as if on land. Spicy King. Entry effect. The legendary devil pepper will be mere snacks to you. As Wang Yu read the description of absolute barrier, firearm nullification, a broad smile spread across his face. The system truly treated him well, granting precisely what he desired. With this rule-based entry, as long as Wang Yu refrained from recklessness and avoided the battlefield, his safety would undoubtedly be assured. Provided that warfare did not erupt or tanks and aircraft were not deployed, he would face no fear. Moreover, with the rapid self-healing entry, given his physical prowess, should he encounter a situation akin to tonight's, being besieged by hundreds of thugs, any injury sustained would heal swiftly. It felt as though he had obtained a genetic enhancement for his body, a healing speed 3 times that of a normal human. It was truly absurd. One could say that most ailments afflicting humanity would be rendered trivial for Wang Yu. The X-ray vision entry was also commendable, although it held little utility for him. It was better than nothing. He certainly had no intention of peeking at young ladies. That was not in his character. The underwater breathing entry was advantageous as well. Henceforth, he could dive without any equipment. However, he found the Spicy King entry somewhat superfluous, bordering on useless. Were it not for Wang Yu's formidable family background, he might resort to live streaming his consumption of extraordinarily spicy dishes to garner attention. But for him, it was entirely unnecessary. Chapter 302. What should not be seen after successfully binding the acquired entries? Wang Yu felt a warm current surge within him, so comfortable that he nearly let out a groan. Suddenly, his phone vibrated several times. A glance revealed a notification from bank. The Industrial and Commercial Bank of China alerted him that 8,630,000 Huaxia coins had been credited to his account, bringing his total balance to 70,281,479, 524 Huaxia coins. Wang Yu glanced at it without much thought. With over 70 billion in cash, it is likely that Wang Jiangwo does not possess such wealth. Should he discover that Wang Yu has amassed such a fortune, he would undoubtedly be taken aback, unable to fathom the origins of this money no matter how hard he tried. However, Wang Yu remained untroubled. With the system at his disposal, he could always concoct a plausible explanation. Even if peculiar occurrences transpired around him, he was less concerned about others making wild speculations that could unveil his secrets. Wang Yu stretched his body, sensing subtle changes within himself, though the specifics eluded him. Without a firearm at hand, he could not test the effects of the attribute that rendered firearms ineffective. Rising to his feet, he searched the room for a fruit knife. Gripping it tightly in his right hand, he hesitated as he positioned it against the fingers of his left hand, struggling to summon the resolve to proceed. After a moment of steeling himself, he made a decisive cut. Instantly, a shallow wound appeared on his finger, a trickle of blood emerging. Upon witnessing the blood, Wang Yu exhaled in relief, discarding the fruit knife and fixating on the wound. To his astonishment, the injury began to heal at an imperceptible pace to the naked eye. After approximately 10 minutes, the wound had closed, leaving only a faint scar. Wang Yu felt a twinge of disappointment. He found the result unsatisfactory, noting that the healing of such a small injury consumed too much time to be of practical use in combat. Nonetheless, he was pleased with the accelerated healing rate afforded by the attribute. Subsequently, Wang Yu activated his X-ray vision, a gray luminescence enveloping his eyes, exuding an enigmatic aura. He directed his gaze toward the wall before him, which gradually transformed into a transparent, blurry haze before vanishing entirely. Beyond it lay another guest room, unoccupied. Incredible! Wang Yu marveled, curiosity igniting within him as he surveyed the surroundings. Suddenly, he pivoted to focus on the ceiling. As the gray light danced in his eyes, the reinforced concrete ceiling morphed into a translucent state, swiftly disappearing. The furniture of the upper room, the intricate network of pipes beneath the floor, and even the minuscule cockroaches hidden within the wall crevices became vividly apparent. Wang Yu was nearly swept up in excitement, rubbing his hands together in anticipation, eager to discover the extent of his X-ray vision. His gaze drifted once more until he stumbled upon a brightly lit room, though it was not occupied by Xiang Zhao, but rather by Xiang Huaqiang and Xiang Tai. Turning again, he glanced toward a side room. As his sight brushed past the bathroom, the gray light surged dramatically, delineating the frosted glass with startling clarity. Through the rising steam, He Zhaoxin's ethereal silhouette emerged, her luminous skin glistening like pearls amidst the mist, her delicate waist exuding an allure that was difficult to divert one's gaze from. Startled, Wang Yu leaned back abruptly, frantically covering his eyes, yet his fingers betrayed him, allowing a gap through which he could not resist peeking. Through the fleeting moment of peering through his fingers, he inadvertently encountered He Zhaoxin raising her hand to wipe away droplets of water. The light cascaded along her swan-like neck, gliding towards the delicate hollow of her collarbone and descending along her skin. He was so taken aback that a rush of blood surged through him. Hastily, he closed his vantage point, placing a hand on his forehead in exasperation, muttering, "This was not my intention. It was purely accidental. Avert your gaze, avert your gaze." No longer contemplating his newfound ability, he directly inquired of the system, "How far can this perspective reach?" Ding. The perspective ability can penetrate within a range of 100 meters, obstructed only by items that impede your line of sight. "Ah, I see," Wang Yu mused, stroking his chin thoughtfully. This ability was indeed quite useful. However, the limitation of 100 meters was somewhat disappointing. It was not that he had any particular interest in observing young girls. Rather, he yearned for a broader view, especially when venturing out to sea, to witness the underwater vistas that eluded others. He admonished himself to refrain from wandering thoughts. Subsequently, he reopened his personal panel, casting his gaze upon the other two items he had won in the lottery, which he had yet to encounter. Loyalty card. When used on a person, regardless of their previous attitude towards you, their affinity for you will reach its maximum value. They shall never betray you. Note: usage count 0-1. A rather commendable item, indeed, if only the usage count were unlimited. Wang Yu then scrutinized the remaining upgrade card, uncertain if it bore its literal meaning. Upgrade card. Can upgrade a particular ability. The effect of the ability will be slightly optimized. Note: usage count 01. As expected, it aligned with his imagination. Wang Yu surveyed the panel, filled with more than a dozen entries, hesitating momentarily. The double cashback entry, ostensibly promising increased monetary returns post-upgrade, held little significance for him now. The entries such as Soul of the Machine, Basketball Star, Glutton, and Spicy King were superfluous. Investing in them would be a waste. After a brief contemplation, he ultimately chose to upgrade the Extreme Physique entry. Upon usage, the upgrade card transformed into a swirl of vibrant colors. Transferring to the Extreme Physique entry, pulsating momentarily before fading away. He quickly glanced at the system panel. Host: Wang Yu. Age: 20. Height: 188 centimeters. Charm: 120. The human limit is 100. Physique: 150. The human limit is 100. Endurance: 150. The human limit is 100. Entries: double cashback. Entry effect: all reasonable expenditures will be refunded double. Extreme Physique, Enhanced 1. Entry effect: from this moment forth, you are the pinnacle of human physique. Suddenly, Wang Yu felt a surge of warmth coursing from his spine to the very tips of his limbs, akin to countless minute electrical currents dancing within his muscle fibers. Instinctively, he clenched his fist, his knuckles producing a crisp crack. His gaze swept over a glass on the bedside table, and with a gentle flick of his fingertip, the glass shattered instantaneously. This is an astonishing enhancement. Wang Yu was somewhat astonished. It was merely an increase of 30 points. Why such a significant change? Previously, when he surpassed human limits and achieved a score of 120, the enhancement had not been so pronounced. Could it be that as one progresses, the augmentation of physical attributes manifests in leaps and bounds? Chapter 303. System Upgrade. Wang Yu was quite pleased with the effects of the enhancement on his physique. At the very least, he had not squandered this upgrade card. Such a powerful card. It seemed the loyalty card was also quite remarkable. Yet, he pondered the nature of that ethereal giant hand that had appeared during the recent lottery. Such an anomaly had never occurred before. Why did it manifest this time? Could it be due to the abundance of points he had accumulated? With a sigh, Wang Yu reflected on the mysterious system that had emerged since his rebirth. Unable to unravel its secrets, he chose not to dwell on it further. The entries from this lottery were quite impressive, and he had drawn the one he desired most, alleviating his concerns about firearms. If the advanced roulette could yield such exceptional results, what might happen upon upgrading? Having tasted success, Wang Yu took out his phone and dialed Long Lily's number. After a considerable wait, the call connected. He heard rustling on the other end, as if the phone had been fished out from beneath a pillow. Long Lily answered with a heavy nasal tone, her voice still laced with drowsiness. Darling, what are you doing? I just fell asleep. Do you know what time it is? Rubbing her eyes, she sat up, her silk nightgown slipping from her shoulders. Glancing at the clock that read 3:30 in the morning. I'm sorry to disturb your slumber, my dear, Wang Yu replied, urgency tinging his voice. Once I finish this busy period, shall we return to Jincheng? Just the two of us? I want to treat you well. Spare me the sweet talk, Long Lily retorted, wrapping herself in a blanket and shuffling to the floor-to-ceiling window to behold the nightscape of the bustling city. A smile crept on her lips at the thought of sharing a world with Wang Yu. What is it, darling? You need to transfer 700 billion to the company account. Wang Yu chuckled softly, admiring her efficiency as his capable secretary. He longed to return and cherish her properly. Now, Long Lily exclaimed, surprised. You just transferred 100 billion. Why another 700 billion, especially at this hour? So much money. My dear, worry not. I have my reasons, he reassured her. Once you complete the transfer, get some rest. Consider this a compensation for disrupting your beauty sleep. Tomorrow, treat yourself to some lovely handbags. I love you, darling. After hanging up, Wang Yu promptly transferred 1 million to Long Lily's bank card. Initially, he intended to allocate the funds to the E.N. Association, as expanding influence required ample financial resources. However, having recently transferred 100 billion, he felt the need to exercise caution regarding Xiang Zhua, though he trusted him. Nonetheless, he felt a twinge of unease concerning Xiang Huaqiang, who handled overseas affairs for the E.N. Association. After a moment's reflection, he decided to deposit the funds into the company account, considering upcoming investments in ByteDance that would necessitate additional expenditure. Ding! The system detects that the host has spent 1 million, double cashback of 2 million awarded. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring 100 system points. He waited for a while. Wang Yu received a notification from the bank regarding a transfer. Evidently, Long Lily had transferred a staggering 10 billion into the company account. Ding. The system has detected that the host has spent 7 billion, resulting in a double cashback of 14 billion. Ding. Congratulations to the host for acquiring 7 million system points. With the points in hand, Wang Yu barely glanced at the message and hastily activated the lottery, fervently thinking, "System, let me draw. I wish to utilize all my points." Ding. 7 million points have been deducted. The lottery is now commencing. Soon, the roulette appeared before him once more. Ding. Thank you for your patronage. Ding. Congratulations to the host for winning 1,380,000,000 Huaxia coins. Ding. Congratulations to the host for winning 800 million Huaxia coins. Ding. Congratulations to the host for winning